Here in Texas, the Friday night lights shining brightly at the ballpark in Arlington, home of the Texas Rangers. We are just moments away from playoff baseball. Tonight's MLB wild card is presented by Budweiser. The winner of this game gets the New York Yankees in the American League Division Series. For the loser, it's a disappointing and very quick end to the postseason on the same night that it begins. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Along with the Hall of Famer, the Iron Man, Cal Ripken, and the future Hall of Famer, John Smoltz, I'm Ernie Johnson. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Let's talk about the Texas Rangers. Looked like they were cruising to another AL West title, and they stumbled down the stretch, John, and here we are in basically a Game 7 to start the postseason.
It is a Game 7. Texas is trying to get back to the World Series for the third time in a row, and they're going to have to do it in a Game 7 format. To avoid that bitter taste of the last 3 games they lost against Oakland, they have a chance to win a game and get in and do that quest that we talked about. And to do that, Yu Darvish is on the mound. They spent a lot of money to get this guy in the offseason. They need him to be exactly what they hoped for, and he has been that with his last 8 starts, 5-1 record. This guy can swing and miss stuff. He'll strike you out. He may walk a few batters, but for the Texas Rangers, they've been there, done that. They have the experience. They know what this game means, and I think they'll be ready for the challenge.
And while the Rangers try to get back to the World Series for a third straight time, the Orioles haven't been in the playoffs since 1997. When you were still playing, Iron Man, how did they do it this year?
I can't remember that, but certainly this is a loose bunch of guys. Certainly they play the game hard, but they have fun. But I don't think they're feeling the pressure at all. I think the pressure in their minds is on the Texas Rangers. They have the knack for playing one-run games. They know how to play one-run games, and they score half their runs via the home run ball, led by Chris Davis and Adam Jones. But let's not forget about the 20-year-old phenom, Manny Machado. He's going to play shortstop in the big leagues someday. But right now, he's the third baseman for this team right here. And since he's been the third baseman, that defense has gone from 30th, which is dead last, to number 1. So certainly he's made a big difference. And then there's Buck Showalter, who's pushed all the right buttons.
It's the Baltimore Orioles and it's the Texas Rangers, the first ever American League wild card game. It's just moments away. Bazooka Joe Saunders gets the ball for the Orioles. Yu Darvish for the Texas Rangers here on TBS. Could get a little chillier here as the night goes on for this American League wild card game. Let's take a look at the Budweiser starting lineups. Here's the batting order for the Baltimore Orioles. Nate McLeod, what an impact he's had since coming over from Pittsburgh. Then it's J.J. Hardy, Chris Davis, and Adam Jones, kind of the engine room, as Cal told you about, with all that power at the 3 and 4 spots. Matt Wieters does the catching. 42-year-old Jim Thome is the designated hitter. Then Mark Reynolds, Ryan Flaherty, and a guy who wasn't even born when Jim Thome made his major league debut, Manny Machado, the 20-year-old third baseman, bats ninth for Baltimore. They will face Yu Darvish.
Yu Darvish has had some experience overseas in a couple postseason games. This is his first and obviously his rookie season. And look for this guy to be able to pitch off his fastball and throw a variety of curveballs, which these hitters will at times swing and miss, Cal. And I think for this game, it's going to be a test to the managers right here. Does the catcher have enough fingers? He throws about 7 pitches. Command on the breaking ball, and this is why they got him. It's going to be real interesting to see this 7th game approach and how each pitcher approaches this game.
Well, I mean, I think it's really cool. I pulled Giovanni Soto aside, and I said, okay, how many pitches does he really have? How many signals do you have for him? And certainly it's 7. And I talked to Ian Kinsler, too, and I said, how do you keep track of this when somebody gets on second base? But certainly this is going to be a different game. 7th game, you're going to see a lot more urgency in this game.
Nate McLeod will lead it off for the Orioles. Swinging at the first pitch. Off the glove of Young at first, and McLeod will reach.
Sometimes the best way to deal with somebody you've never seen before is to go up there and try to make a statement right from the get-go. The Orioles do not know Darvish at all, and certainly McLeod said, I'm going to look for a fastball and see what I can do with it.
So an E3 on the first pitch of the game has Nate McLeod at first. Now the Baltimore Orioles don't steal many bases. In fact, they're dead last in baseball. But the addition of McLeod has brought a little more of the speed element into this team. He has double-digit steals.
There's certainly a couple guys in the lineup that can steal. Adam Jones out in center field can steal. He likes to steal third base as well. But Nate is your real big base-stealing threat.
He has stolen 12 in his 55 games. And Marlo Hale, you see the Orioles third base coach, flashing signals down at third. And there goes McLeod. Pitch is low and the throw to second is late. Skips into center, but no chance for McLeod to advance.
It's interesting, the Orioles do have quite a few sack bunts. And, you know, watching them all these years, I don't think that I knew that. But they do bunt with a guy on second base. He got a good jump here going into second base. No chance for Soto.
Yu Darvish pitches out of the stretch the entire game. He's modified his delivery, but he's got a high leg kick, and so you could take advantage of it. And talking to Buck earlier, they said they're going to see it, swing it, and they're going to take advantage of everything they got presented to them in this game.
Now J.J. Hardy, and that ball hit up the middle and through for a base hit. McLeod around third, and he will score easily. It's 1-0 Orioles.
Electing not to bunt and trying to move the runner over to second, third, they got a bonus. J.J. handles the bat very well, hits a hard ground ball up the middle, which would have been a productive out if it was an out. But certainly, right here, he stays on it, waits a long time, drives the ball to the right side, and then gets an RBI, and the inning's still alive.
Now here is Chris Davis. You talk about one of the easiest swingers with great power. And you got 2 on display in this game, and Josh Hamilton and Chris Davis from the left side.
Yeah, they're the 2 kind of guys that when we're out here for batting practice, you want to watch them. All of a sudden they flick the ball, and all of a sudden you look up, and now that's in that hill out there. It's in the upper deck. Those guys have tremendous power, and Chris certainly is on a hot streak right now.
He takes a strike. Yeah, he had his streak of 6 straight games with a home run snapped on the final night of the season. But he has hit some tape measure shots. If Ernie Els were to put on a baseball uniform, it would look sort of like Chris Davis. An easy swing, and that ball really goes. Came up empty there.
Now you're talking over my skis.
One down here in the first. The fourth member of our crew is Craig Sager. Let's check in for the first time with him. Craig?
Yu Darvish won 18 games, what qualifies as his rookie year. But the 26-year-old is a veteran of 7 Japanese seasons, in which twice he was the MVP, and he pitched in the postseason 5 of the last 6 years. At first, he didn't want to come here. At his Japanese farewell, he said, quote, "I'd rather quit than go." But he's made the adjustment on the mound and the culture. Says, the majors is where my challenges are, and tonight, he has his biggest one.
Here's the O's cleanup hitter, Adam Jones. Thank you, Craig.
Well, he plays the rock star role. I mean, he did it over there, and he's done it here, and he's adjusted very well. He has a variety of pitches. When he's facing a team the first time, he's 10-3 with a 3.13 ERA, and of course, the Orioles have not faced him, so this would quantify under that stat. But one thing you have to watch for is the ability to throw a lot of pitches out of the zone and see if he can get the hitters aggressively out of the zone for the Orioles. And right now he's attacked them with fastballs, and they got the early lead.
Well, certainly it's a sure sign of nerves for hitters to start to expand the zone. They get all psyched out up the home plate. They feel like they're stronger than they are, and they want to do something so well. So you're right, John. If they start swinging at pitches outside the strike zone, nerves are a factor.
Jones got one he liked on 2-0, but popped it up. Young makes the play. 2 down. Here's the way the Rangers line up defensively. Hamilton, Gentry, and Cruz around the outfield. Beltre and Young, Gold Gloves on the corners. Elvis Andrus and Ian Kinsler up the middle. Giovanni Soto behind the plate with Yu Darvish on the mound.
I thought it was big to get Beltre back in the line of the third. He's been out a little bit of a shoulder injury. Ron Washington gave him a little bit of rest, but he's the best third baseman I've ever seen.
Here's Matt Wieters. The best you've ever seen, Cal.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up watching Brooksy, and he was the human vacuum cleaner, and Brooksy made a lot of plays. But I got to believe that Beltre has a better arm, covers more ground, makes all these fantastic plays look very easy. So sorry, Brooksy.
I'd like to say apology accepted, but would not speak for the esteemed Mr. Robinson. You see the defensive alignment against Matt Wieters, and Beltre well over towards short, and Andrus basically up the middle against the left-handed hitter.
Early on, some cutters have leaked over the plate, and he's actually gotten away with them. Backup cutters, that last pitch being one of them. He's going to have to be better with that pitch. Or Baltimore, as you mentioned, Cal, who hits a lot of home runs and scores almost half their runs via the home run, will lift this ball in the air, and this park will not hold it.
214 long balls, to be exact, number 2 in baseball, behind the New York Yankees. Wieters has hit 23 home runs, knocked in 83 runs. 5 Orioles have hit at least 20.
I get mesmerized watching Yu Darvish, just because he has so many different options, and he can manipulate the ball to make it cut, to sink. Takes different speeds on his breaking ball. That's a big challenge for hitters that haven't seen that before.
Down low, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He will throw anywhere from 7 to 10 different speeds on his pitches, which to a hitter, again, not locking in on a variance of speed. He'll have a 12-6 curveball, which is a slower one that starts up, goes down. What you saw there was the harder curveball. He tightens it up with a cutter, and then he's got a traditional slider as well.
Hardy with his lead at first.
You know, certainly as a hitter, my first at bat, I want to see everything he has. I want to see the full kitchen sink. If you could, in this case, it might be hard. So then as the game goes on, you might get into a situation where you need to drive in a run. You have a much better idea. I would imagine from a pitcher's perspective, you want to hide some of that
stuff. The opposite, exactly.
Hardy will be on the move on the 3-2 pitch with 2 out. And Wieters goes down swinging to end the Oriole half of the first, but they get on the board as we head to the bottom half. Elvis Andrus hits second, and then Josh Hamilton and Adrian Beltre in the 3 and 4 holes. Nelson Cruz, always a postseason threat, plays right field. Then it's Michael Young, the face of this Ranger franchise. Mike Napoli, the DH, Giovanni Soto behind the plate, and Craig Gentry, the center fielder, bats ninth against Joe Saunders. John?
Well, Joe Saunders doesn't have the resume, so to speak, in this ballpark, but throw it out the window. The one thing you got to be prepared for if you're Joe Saunders, be careful on the first pitch. 343, 359, 412, 374. That's what the Rangers are capable of doing on the first pitch. Short leash, limit the traffic on the bases, and use all your pitches.
I like those numbers, John. I like those 353s, 342s. They're good.
It's impressive, and that's what the one thing in this type of a format, everything's a rally. A walk, a hit, everything's amplified, and as a pitcher, you just got to be able to bring it back down to pitch by pitch and get them swinging out of the zone.
The leadoff hitter Ian Kinsler has 7 leadoff home runs this season and 27 in his career. One of those against Joe Saunders.
Joe has thrown the ball really well since he's come over the Orioles the last so many starts. Hasn't walked a guy in a long time. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but watching the games, he hasn't put anybody on base. And he needs to have that sort of control against this Texas lineup tonight.
Yeah, it's over 22 innings, 22 and 2/3 innings. He has not walked somebody. This atmosphere, it will be difficult to not walk somebody. You have to get the matchups you like and pitch with the count in your favor.
The 2-2 miss low and inside. The count full to the Rangers leadoff hitter.
Dennis Eckersley will call you Stat Masterson.
3 years in the studio with Eck and Boomer will do that to you, Cal. Great to have you with us tonight. And there is ball 4 to Kinsler.
I knew I would jinx him.
Here's the Orioles defense. Nate McLeod, Adam Jones, and Chris Davis around the outfield. At the corners, you got the kid, Manny Machado, and Mark Reynolds. Up the middle, J.J. Hardy and Ryan Flaherty. Matt Peters behind the plate, catching Joe Saunders.
Yeah, and I'm sure John does this now. I call everybody a kid now because you're in the clubhouse and everybody is a kid. But Manny Machado really is a kid.
That is for sure.
20 years old in a playoff game.
Here's Elvis Andrus. As Saunders with a soft toss over to keep Kinsler close. Andrus has 17 sacrificed bunts, but I don't know if you'll see it in this situation early in the game.
Well, we put that question to Ron Washington. What would you do early if Kinsler gets on? And I was assuming a 0-0 game. I said, would you bunt him? And he said no. He said, in that situation, I might start the runner and use a hit and run. Wash has been known to try to make things happen in these type games because you want to get even right away if you can. It's much easier to play from a lead, in my opinion, in one of these knockout type games.
Shortened up to bunt, took it outside. 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, we mentioned the short leash. The patience of a manager in this game is going to be tested. The bullpen's going to be on go. The starting pitcher realizes that, and he has to do his job and be able to throw strikes. We talked about the amount of strikes he was throwing already and hadn't walked. You could see he's out of the zone, up a little bit. He's going to have to get back down and mix and match, and that's not what you want if you're Buck Showalter trying to depend on your Johnny Holstaff. You want this guy to go through the lineup at least once or twice in perfect scenario, and then turn it over to your guys for matchups.
Well, I certainly can see not having another guy warming up while he's pitching, with nobody on base. But certainly if they get a rally here in the first inning, you'll see some action in that bullpen.
Andrus waiting on a 3-0 from Saunders, who has never won in this ballpark. He's 0-6.
People have no idea at home what the difference is in a game like this versus a regular season game. And for that matter, going down the stretch trying to get in the postseason. They're totally different. Everybody's amped up. The hitter's amped up. The crowd's into it. And you've got to be able to control your emotions to get the pitches where you want to.
Elvis Andrus was on his way to first, and Gary Darling said, stay right here. 3-1.
Well, this pitch right here, as we look at pitch tracks, you see in your right corner, and the top left corner, that is a pitcher. When you're looking early on, you're also looking to the umpire and seeing what area of leniency will he give you, and if you need to, go to that spot.
3-1 is over, and the count is full to Elvis Andrus.
Yeah, as a hitter, I used to hate that. 3-0 is not automatic. You know, they can come back and paint you on the outside corner. Now what? Everybody can drop a 3-2 breaking ball on you, a 3-2 changeup. And then you put in on the defensive when you were on the offensive.
You see the number on Kinsler picked off 6 times. He is tied for the lead with 21 stolen bases. Running on that pitch, the ball slapped into left. And runners will be at first and third.
We certainly heard from Ron Washington talking about playing Texas-style baseball. That's Texas-style baseball. Moving the guys on the run, taking third base on that base at the left field. That's the way Wash wants them to play.
Yeah, the only way you go first to third on this is to be running, because usually the left fielder's got the ball in front of you. He can make that throw to third, but getting a head start helps. And Wash will help you run, by the way. He'll get those feet going, and you can feel that as a player, and so you don't want to let him down.
Very few guys you'd rather talk to before a game, always entertaining, and it doesn't stop there. Here's Ron Washington in that Texas dugout. Here's Josh Hamilton, and that's tapped to second. Could be 2, 4, 6, 3 run scores to tie the game, but 2 out.
Well, certainly the Orioles will take that. Give up a run for a double play, minimize the inning. We talked about the crooked numbers playing in a game like this. You need to stay in the ball game. You need to keep it close.
I couldn't even get it out of my mouth. I tried very hard. This is an aggressive hitter. Left-handers have been giving him trouble. This was a way to get to his feet off his aggressiveness. He wants to get out of his little funk, and when a player is desperate to get some big hits, a pitcher can take advantage of it. Good job by Joe Saunders.
Here's Adrian Beltre.
You know,
what a year he's had, too. Go ahead,
sorry, it's amazing when you get to this point what taking the first pitch could do to the mindset of the pitcher. Like, he swings, he's aggressive. And if just taking the pitch can reset your thinking as a pitcher, it's that cat and mouse game that goes, is he trying to take me deep? Is he trying to drive the ball? He made a good pitch. He grounded into double play. And now Joe Saunders' mind has been reset.
Talk about the year Beltre has had. 3rd in average at .321 in the American League. 6th in home runs with 36 and 9th in RBIs with 102. And that ball hit to center. Adam Jones makes the play, and that'll do it for the Rangers. But they answer with a run of their own. 1-1 going to the second. Compete against your friends and earn rewards. Download the app by visiting tbs.com/social dugout or text dugout to 68398. Top half of the second inning. Darvish working to Jim Thome, 42 years old. Number 7 on the all-time home run list with 612.
That's a lot of homers.
Is it ever?
Good guy, too.
His 22nd season in the bigs came over June 30th in a trade with the Phillies for a couple of minor leaguers, and has contributed 3 home runs and 10 RBIs in 28 games.
Certainly, John, you got to help me out. I'm watching the monitor. I'm looking at the signs, and his pitches, I can't tell. 4-seamer, 2-seamer, cutter, spinner, slider.
Yeah, the first 2 were cutters. He's throwing a lot of cutters. That last one he threw was a 2-seamer away, and he'll rush it up there to 96 with a 4-seamer, which I think is one of his better pitches.
On the button by Thome, but a great play by Kinsler for the first out.
They didn't play the big shift, but certainly they had Kinsler out there in right field to take advantage of taking hits away like that. Jim Thome did cross up a couple of shifts in the last series, and I think the scouts took note of that.
Well, this is another cutter, and this cutter has not been sharp or late. That's over the middle of the plate, and Jim Thome almost got a base hit out of it. He's going to have to tighten up that pitch. He's throwing a lot of them, and that pitch is going to go a long ways if it's not controlled right.
Here's Mark Reynolds with 1 down.
Yeah, cutter to a lefty that doesn't get in can go a long way. Yeah, just a mediocre fastball.
Big cut by Reynolds, came up empty. He's got 23 home runs, and both the Yankees know about his power. 7 of his 23 coming against the Yankees this season.
He's a streaky home run hitter. Not a real big guy. Powerful, but he can hit the ball a long way.
Look at that 64-mile-an-hour job coming up there from Darvish as folks were grabbing bats.
Let's see.
Let me try to hit a 64.
64 and probably 96. That's going to be the difference tonight.
Off the end of the bat, 1 and 2.
Soto has such a good relationship with you. It's really fun to watch them work, you know, either through their signs, through their facial expressions back and forth. He really does work hard with you, and it cannot be easy with 7 different options.
He's ahead 1 and 2, and Reynolds takes low and away. Count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Different culture, of course, for you, Darvish, to come to the United States and play, and a different relationship with the manager. In fact, he had to be told that he could come and speak at any time he wanted to with Ron Washington. If you got a problem, if you have an issue, if you have a question, because in Japanese baseball, that's not done. That pitch up and in, and it got Reynolds.
I think they're going to check the umpire to see if he swung. It did hit him, but if he were to go around, of course, it's a not a hit by pitch.
You got Buck Showalter checking on his hitter, Ron Washington, discussing the situation with Gary Darling.
The Orioles have seen this all too often late in the year. Markakis got hit by CC Sabathia, and one of their best hitters, leadoff hitter, similar pitch, broken bone, and he's out for the playoffs, broken thumb. And
that sounded like hand. Didn't sound like bat to me. It is interesting, though. We talked about control issues and overthrowing. Maybe that was supposed to be a 4-seamer, straight fastball away, and that ended up and in. It wasn't by design. They weren't coming up and in just to try to exploit a weakness. They were trying to go down and away, and he missed by that far.
John, you talk about the Orioles having watched that movie before on a pitch up and in, and this was Nick Markakis against CC Sabathia early in September. Markakis having a great year, breaks his left thumb. He was their leadoff hitter, and you looked at that situation and said, okay, how will the Orioles respond to this? And is this the kind of an injury that says, uh-oh, nice run, but you're not going to make it? But they've gone 15-8 without Markakis.
Well, McLeod stepped in, and he took over with where Markakis left off. Now Markakis is not your normal conventional leadoff hitter, but he assumed that role. He's getting on base at a high percentage, walking, scoring a lot of runs. And certainly I felt for him because he's played his whole career. Just think how long it's been since the Orioles have been in the playoffs. So Nick has never had a chance to feel this. And he was playing in his meaningful games, and he was looking for it. He was playing really well. So, yeah, it is a tough time. It's a tough injury, but they're the realities of the sport.
Let's get more on that from Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, I talked to Nick Markakis earlier before the game, and Buck Showalter said he's the rallying cry. We've all done the math. We know if we keep winning, we'll get Nick back. He told me that he has 4 pins after the surgery in his hand. He says he hopes to have them out a week from today, which would mean that he would be eligible if they advance to play possibly the latter part of the League Championship Series. And if they went to the World Series, he would definitely be eligible then. So he says he's a week away.
And that encouraging news, obviously, for the Orioles.
Yeah, at first they thought it was no chance. And then they had this surgery option that could shorten the time. And they took it.
Reynolds with the lead at first. Ryan Flaherty takes a strike. He is the Orioles' second baseman.
Tall second baseman. I guess not by today's standards. But when you stand up and talk to him, you see that he's a good-sized kid. And he's got a little pop, too. He's hit some big home runs down the stretch.
You've made it perfectly okay to be a tall infielder, playing up the middle at short or second. Already cut right through that 0-2.
Now that's the best one he's thrown. That's where a hitter cannot recognize the late spin. It's tight and it's down and in. You traditionally left-handers a little bit lower, and they may golf this one out of here, but that's a great pitch right there. Everything else he's thrown, you can see tension. Tension means the pitch is not where you want it to be. You're getting away with mistakes. If he can hone it back in and throw a lot of those breaking balls and control it, he'll give the Oriole hitters a fit. But I've seen you pitch a lot of games, and I know this moment, and he's gone away from his fastball immediately after the first inning. We haven't seen a lot of fastballs, 4-seam or 2-seam. We're seeing a lot of breaking balls.
A lot of cutters.
A lot of cutters.
Certainly that was 90 miles an hour, and it looks like he's going to back that up with a spinning slider.
He gets Flaherty on 3 pitches for the second out.
It's so difficult as a hitter when you see the spin of the ball coming, and it's a short cutter, and it gets there at 90. And then the next pitch, you see the spin of the ball's coming. It's coming inside to you, but the speed is 84. So you're way out in front.
And the key is to make it come out of your hand looking like a strike, and then the bottom drops out, and of course it's a ball. So those are the difference that you're trying to get a hitter on different planes, thinking spin, speed, and location.
With 2 out, here's the 20-year-old third baseman, Manny Machado. And there goes Reynolds. Pitch outside. Reynolds has it stolen.
Well, Buck's kind of answering the questions early. They're going to try to take chances. They're going to try to manufacture a run or two. The element of surprise certainly was here.
Well, you almost have to. With the time that he delivers the ball, it puts a lot of pressure on the catcher. If he doesn't vary his moves or times over to first, I don't care if you're not very fast. You'll be able to get a good jump and steal a base. Certainly with 2 outs, puts it in scoring position, puts a little bit more pressure. The opponent's 23 for 27 successfully in stolen base attempts.
That ball's hit to first, a squibber, smothered by Young for the third out. That'll do it for the Orioles in the second, tied at 1.
aggressiveness of the hitters. Get that first hitter out and nothing seems like a rally and pitch count not in play. It's the pitcher that can slow the heartbeat and slow the game down is going to be the one that's most successful, because this game has so much emotion around it. You do things you never would have think you or possibly could do in a regular season game.
Joe Saunders working quickly. That ball grounded to second, and Nelson Cruz bounces out to start the bottom of the second inning. The point you made there too, John, illustrated very well here, because in the first inning neither pitcher got the leadoff hitter out. Both came around to score, which is what has happened so far in a 1-1 game.
Yeah, you got to pitch your first inning like your ninth, and then guess what? Your second inning like your ninth, and so on and so forth. You don't care about anything else or your next start. You're focusing on this game. You'll be mentally tired. You'll be drained. You may use more pitches than you normally would, but you've got to pass that baton. In this case, pass it off to your teammate to pitch Game 1 of the Game 5 series.
It's counterintuitive because you're starting to think that there's an urgency. But in order to succeed, you have to slow yourself down and execute.
Cal, you have to remember you're working with me and John, so anything with over 3 syllables is going to be a little tough to comprehend. So counterintuitive, stretching the outer limits of our comprehension as Michael Young drills a single to center, and he's on with one man.
You know, some of these points we're making, yes, it's important to get the leadoff hitter out every game anyway. In game number 82, it's important. But certainly, it's more critical in these games to get them out. And the focus really is much stronger on making a pitch in the first batter.
Well, everybody brings their A game. The crowd brings their A game. They see a walk as a rally. The batters don't take an at bat off. They don't lose their focus. Everybody's locked in. So these kind of noises you don't hear in a regular season game with just a traditional single with one out. That's what the pitcher and everybody else is dealing with.
Mike Napoli takes a strike. You hear the crowd chanting his name, and Napoli just a .227 hitter, but he's got power. 24 home runs, and in fact 12 of his last 21 hits have left the yard. He bats here with a man on and one down, bottom half of the second in a tie game. The AL wild card game. Napoli checks, and Jerry Lane says he did not go.
Well, I always saw that he swung. It didn't mean he did. I just always thought the hitter did.
Yeah, I get a kick out of that. There's all kinds of interpretations from pitchers, hitters. What's a swing? Yeah, if you take a look out here, you got the outfield defense. Adam Jones likes to play dead center, but Napoli hits the ball all over the outfield and center field, but the infield's playing him to pull. If you get a ground ball hit anywhere, you got a good chance for a double play, but they're not necessarily at double play depth because of the speed of Napoli.
Right away, 3-1.
Well, if you put Napoli's statistics just against left-hander in one calendar year, he'd hit 44 home runs and 629 at-bats. That's what he has. He loves hitting off of left-handers, and the statistics show it in the power numbers with 44 home runs.
The 3-1. And a cut and came up dry.
He certainly has been swinging a hot bat, and when he does get a hit, it's a homer. Lately, he's the one guy that you're looking at, if I was Joe, that I'd be a little careful with. Of course, there's a whole lot more in that Texas lineup, but he's the one guy that stood out to me.
Strike 3 called, 2 down. Saunders battles back.
Well, I think right here, where you look where the glove's set up, he just freezes them. That's not where the pitch was intended to be, but sometimes you get a little lucky as a pitcher and lock up the hitter, because he swung at ball 4 possibly the pitch before, and he locked him up with not the intended location.
It's a good example. They think all big league pitchers hit their spots all the time. But certainly that was the right pitch to throw, but his intention was to go away.
Here's the longtime Chicago Cub pitcher, Giovanni Soto. July 30th trade with the Cubs brought him to the Texas Rangers.
I did have a really good time getting to know him just a little bit today. Just talking about Hugh Darvish. And a catcher is so very important to a pitcher in his rhythm and his frame of mind. He's pretty fantastic.
An elaborate set of signs he has with Hugh Darvish as his battery mate.
Well, he was joking, and he said, look, I have a glove that has a Velcro strap on it. Sometimes I'll take the glove off and I'll use both hands to give a sign. seven options.
Saunders ahead in the count, 1-2. Michael Young with a lead at first.
Right now he's got decent touch on his off-speed pitches, but the fastball, when he wants to really hump up, is mitching away from his arm side. So in other words, he's trying to paint the outside corner and missing up and away. He's going to go back to his off-speed when he needs it and be able to use that as his out pitches.
Well, certainly you think of Joe Saunders as a control type. He needs to make good pitches on the corner, stay out of the middle of the plate. But it's still surprising. You watch that radar gun. He pops 92 when he actually needs a little bit extra.
Young will be moving at first. Payoff pitch due to Soto. Tried to check it, but he went. And back-to-back strikeouts in the second. We head to the third. And Nate McLeod off the wall walk-off in the win over Tampa Bay. Budweiser donated $5,000 for every walk-off win this season as part of a $2.5 million donation to the Folds of Honor Foundation, an organization dedicated to providing educational opportunities to families of fallen or injured soldiers. A wonderful initiative there.
You want to talk about a guy that was struggling with injuries and struggling with the direction of his career. He comes over here
and has completely turned it around and given them that jolt they needed at the right time.
Popped up near the plate. Soto makes the play for out number one. No, you're absolutely right. He was an all-star with the Pirates in 2008, was Nate McLouth. Traded to the Braves. He struggled there, went back to Pittsburgh and struggled there too, but really just resurrected his career in a pennant chase with the Baltimore Orioles.
You know, you try to explain Baltimore to a lot of people and say, what do they have? And the only thing that I can tell you is they have it. It. And it's hard to explain in baseball because you have all these teams that put together high salaries and all kinds of superstars, and they don't have it sometimes. And this team seems to have it in a way that it just has been Buck pushing the right buttons, players coming over and filling in. It's been fun to watch. This team was terrible last year, and they've turned it around.
Well, they're certainly a baseball team, and culture is something that everybody looks to achieve in the business world. It's called chemistry in the baseball and the sports world, and certainly that what you're talking about is they got good talent on this club, but they have very good chemistry. They all get along, they all like each other, they all pull in the same direction.
Props to the new GM Dan Duquette. Talk about the buttons being pushed by Buck Showalter, but Dan Duquette returning to the front office in baseball. And boy, the Nate McLouth move is great. Jim Thome has paid dividends since coming over. It has been a magical season for the Baltimore Orioles, trying to keep it going tonight here in Texas.
Well, the big difference is they're about a one earned run less on their pitching staff overall. Big difference in their bullpen, and that has to go to Buck. Buck knows how to put together a bullpen, knows how to manage close ball games.
Hardy just did get a piece of that one, and the numbers, Cal, are really eye-popping in those close games. You talked about their knack for winning those games as we came on the air tonight, but 29-9 in one-run games. They've won 16 consecutive extra inning games after losing their first two of the season. It has been one of those years when you win those kind of games and you find yourself in the playoffs.
Yeah, 11 of those wins, consecutive extra inning wins on the road. They're a good road team as well. So that Oriole magic kind of moves not only to the to Camden Yards, but on the road as well.
Another pop-up in the infield. This one by J.J. Hardy. 2 up and 2 down. Well, Buck Showalter's timeline, and you see from the Yankees to the Arizona Diamondbacks, right here in Arlington with the Texas Rangers. And then from 2010 in August until now, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles.
In 2010, 32-73 before Buck, 34-23 when he got there. He had a quote. He said, what you're responsible for is creating the environment that fits them, meaning the players. You don't cram stuff down their throat. It's got to be the stuff they buy into, and certainly he's been able to do that right from spring training. And Cal, you know, how many times do you believe your manager's spring training talk about optimism, especially after last year? And you look what he's done in the second year. Those are impressive numbers.
Well, I think it's less about the talk that he gives in spring training, and it's more about his fundamentals and knowing what he knows and getting the confidence of the players to really understand that he knows his baseball. He's a good baseball guy. I think that's where it starts, and then you build from there.
Chris Davis way out in front of that slow breaking pitch. And it's no balls and 2 strikes. Davis struck out his first time. Darvish has struck out 3 as he works here in the top half of the third.
Yeah, take a look at this shift. That's a real shift. We'll come back to that in 1 second. Maybe you won't.
The first 1-2-3 inning for Yu Darvish. We go to the bottom of the third. App Store or Google Play.
I think this is a very big inning for Joe Saunders. I know we're only in the third inning, and why would the third inning be a big inning? But he's going to reset the top of the lineup, and for the Orioles, who are armed and ready to throw every kind of matchup their way, interesting to see how he navigates through this inning.
They certainly got a lot of pitchers in that bullpen, and Buck is a master at matching up. But you're right; it's tough. It's more difficult to match up, for 7 innings than it is for 6, and then 5 innings is easier than 6. So the longer that Joe can get them in a position to match up, he's done his job.
Craig Gentry to first off the glove, and Reynolds cannot recover to make the play.
Certainly a sharp hit ball right here. Swings a little late, but it looks like Mark was going to try to go touch the bag before he caught the ball. Wasn't a bad hop necessarily, just didn't quite get down and get it into the center of his glove.
And they're going to rule that an error, as they probably should. They'll make that play. He's a good fielding first baseman, good fielder, period.
Well, again, we said earlier, when Machado went to third, Mark Reynolds went to first. And Mark Reynolds is a very athletic first baseman that can make that 3-6-3 throw and covers a lot of ground over there. He's done a good job over there.
Well, here's Ian Kinsler, who walked his first time and came around to score on a double play ball.
That's that all-important leadoff guy we were talking about. Everything changes when that first guy gets home.
Kinsler takes a strike, didn't think so. That is 1-1. Gentry will steal a base for you. He's got 13. You see the career numbers for Ian Kinsler against Joe Saunders.
Joe Saunders does a nice job controlling the running game. Out of 10 attempts, only 4 guys have stolen the base. Left-handers have that advantage. That deceptive move, that balk move, a lot of them may or may not have, but he's done a nice job with that part of the game, which takes stress off of a pitcher. When you get runner on first, he's not going to be in scoring position.
Yeah, quick look here, the defensive positioning up the middle here. You can see that they are at double play depth now. Shortened up a little bit where they can turn any ground ball like this one.
And this could be 6-4-3. Kinsler is doubled up. Nice call.
I just wanted to make the point that with Napoli, you have a little bit more time. If you're the fielder, you can play a little bit deeper, as you can play if you have a lead late in the game.
It's like you knew something was coming there, Iron Man.
Well, this is how you pick up your teammates right here as a pitcher. You make the pitch, you get the double play, erases the error. Everybody feels good right here, and a good job by pulling his hand back at the last minute. You see pitchers all the time deflect that ball and cause a hit that would have been a routine double play. You've got to remember to turn around and check where your position.
I got a question. So when you were pitching, you knew when to put your glove out there and when not, based on the positioning?
No, when I checked, I did, but you lose your perspective of checking.
I think it's a reaction. Over the years, I think the pitcher reacts out there, and you're right. If he turns around and looks, or if you tell him, hey, look, I'm right behind you,
right,
that might help. But by and large, I always think the pitchers.
Well, it's a natural reaction.
It's a natural reaction.
You want to get the ball. But if you do take the time to say, hey, in your meetings, this is where we're playing them, this is where you pitch them, then you should have the foresight to be able to not do that. But it's easier said than done.
Ryan away to Andrews, 2-1. He singled his first time, but was erased in that double play ball hit by Josh Hamilton, the one that scored Kinsler with the first and only Rangers run.
He's done a nice job without controlling his fastball. We're seeing a lot of quadrants up left against the right-hander. He's been able to get his changeup and breaking ball in positions to fool the Rangers hitters.
Andrews took a step toward first. And now we'll wait on a 3-2 pitch.
It's in the box. It's a strike. We were talking about having the willingness to take a pitch. Certainly Elvis in his role puts a little bit more pressure on the pitcher by making him throw another strike. 3-2.
You got to trust in your ability in these games to hit with 2 strikes, hit deep in the count, be patient, and let the pitcher make a mistake.
There's that breaking ball, though, you risk. If a hitter has the ability to drive a ball, then you want him swinging on 3-1 so he gets the ball in the gap or maybe hit a home run. Elvis doesn't have a whole lot of home runs. His job is to get on first base, use his legs a little bit to get in scoring position. And certainly he doesn't mind hitting with 2 strikes. He's got 82 strike hits. He's second in the American League behind Joe Mauer.
And there's another one. That ball gets down and right. Chris Davis up and hustles it in and keeps Andrews to a single.
That was a heck of a play by Chris Davis. Normally he's been the designated hitter or first baseman. He's a pretty good athlete for as big as he is.
Pressed into everyday action in right field after the loss of Nick Markakis.
He's got a strong arm, gets all the way over there.
Okay, first pitch swinging last time. Throw him a curveball. Let's see what this approach second time up as he throws over to first. I got to believe you're going to go with the same thing. No need to really sneak anything in right here. You know the book is so well documented. This guy has put up stupid numbers despite a really big slump in the middle of the season.
You mean stupid mean good?
Yeah, like good.
Okay.
Tied for second in home runs in the American League and was second in RBIs.
He's ready to swing when he leaves the dugout. He wants to go up there and hit. But I was surprised that Elvis didn't try that with 2 outs. But if you think about the reason why not, you now have number 3 and number 4 coming up, and you always want to give your 3 and 4 hitters the chance to do something with somebody on base.
Hamilton waiting. And now Saunders way ahead, 0-2.
I will be surprised if this next pitch is not in the right-hander's batter's box. Keep expanding as much as you can. Do not leave anything up over the middle of the plate. You now have the count in your favor. You got 2 pitches to play with. See if he goes for the kill shot right now.
Joe has been extremely tough on lefties. Righties are the ones that put up the numbers on him. But he has a real hard slider. He has an arm slot that must be a little difficult for lefties. And he has that out pitch, down and away slider, which I would almost be certain he's going to throw here.
On the corner, Hamilton caught looking for out number 3 here in the third.
form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Beautiful night in Arlington. We move to the top half of the fourth inning. And the AL wild card game all tied up between the Rangers and the Orioles. And here's Baltimore's cleanup hitter, Adam Jones. Popped out to first his first time. .32 home runs and 82 runs batted in the regular season for Jones.
Plays a great center field with a good, strong throwing arm as well. He's a legitimate superstar in the making.
And he played all 162 games for the Orioles this year. The first Oriole to do that since Miguel Tejada in 2006.
I don't know what the big deal is.
I know, and Cal did it only 10 times in his career. Fouled back to the screen.
Of course, I was saying that with a little smirk.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
I love when a player like Adam decides he's sitting right in the middle of the order, that it's important for him to be out there every day.
And as he was on his way to 162 a couple of weeks back, he was telling reporters, yeah, I got Cal Ripken in my sights. I'm going to catch him.
I hope he does.
Again, that tantalizing breaking pitch from Darvish over for a strike. It's 2-2.
Yeah, John, I said it looked like the last inning, it looked like it was a good sign. A couple of balls off the end of the bat, little pop-ups, and a much better command and control.
Yeah, both pitchers have gotten through the nervous part of the game, and the feel and touch is really good.
He reaches out and goes to right center for the first out as Nelson Cruz makes the play. Now, in game one today, National League wild card, how about this infield fly rule call against the Braves in the eighth, and Freddie Gonzalez was hot. What did you guys think?
To me, as a shortstop, you're going out there, yeah, the infield fly rule does not have to be in the infield. It can be out there. It borders on being a little too deep, and I didn't think he had a real good beat on it, and they called it late. So the question is, could you have dropped it intentionally and then got a double play? That's sort of the reason why you put that in play, so you can eliminate that. To me, that's borderline too deep, and it's out of there.
The Braves did protest, and it was denied by Major League Baseball. The Cardinals win it 6-3, and as that video froze there, you saw the Cardinals retreat to the dugout. Both teams did, in fact. Ugly scene in Atlanta earlier, as a lot of bottles and cups and everything else were thrown on the field. And folks, I know the call may have gone against you, but that was inexcusable.
Well, and let's not forget, I mean, the playoff baseball brings about an extra umpire or two down the line, and those are the umpires that are in charge of certain things they're not accustomed to. And Sam Holbrook made the call in the position that you're seeing the further umpire down the left field line in the infield fly, which in a regular season there wouldn't be that. And maybe that changes a little bit on how the call's been made, but a tough situation in Atlanta, and ultimately the Cardinals were able to prevail and move on.
That's a good point. It might change the perspective of the umpire from where he is. I never thought about that. Don't know if I buy it, but never thought about it.
Matt Wieters slaps it the other way. That ball is foul. So on this wild card Friday in Major League Baseball, you have the two teams that were in the World Series last year having to play these knockout games. The St. Louis Cardinals, the reigning champs, survive, and the Rangers here hosting the Baltimore Orioles, and you see how far foul that ball was by Matt Wieters.
Yeah, I was ignoring you, Ernie. I was looking at Soto down on one knee, getting in a position. I love that from a defensive standpoint. He's getting down there, getting a low strike. I used to hate it as a hitter because he makes that low pitch look so much better than it is. All pitchers don't like to pitch to that, though. Why?
Well, I'll explain after this. Sometimes the vision of a pitcher looks like the catcher's hiding, and it's harder to get and not as inviting. Sometimes it does, like the guy who does it, one of the best, Yadier Molina, one of the best receivers of inviting you to throw a pitch right there. I used to tell the catchers, don't hide behind the hitter. There's no space that I can see. I want to see the glove, and I want to see that. So sometimes getting down, I used to want and work on throwing that ball down there, and the catcher inviting it was important. But that's the only reason I could give you. Some pitchers see it as a hiding the ball.
Bounce to first. Young will take it himself. 2 up.
He had a
and
good
2
shot of
down.
that number 5 sign that goes down there. One of the options. That's a split.
Split finger.
And you can see his split would really dive at the end. And Wieters rolled over to first base.
That's 7 straight retired by Yu Darvish. And here's Jim Thome.
Yeah, if you're in the dugout for the Orioles, that's a bad sign. He's really gotten his rhythm down. He's really throwing all his pitches where he wants to. And then you have to worry about all of those pitches.
He's only allowed 1 hit. That to J.J. Hardy in the first. Here's Jim Thome.
You showing no ill effect or signs of a stiff neck or a neck that bothered him to miss a couple starts. He's been lights out down the stretch for Texas, and that's saying a lot because they lost 9 of their last 12 to relinquish the division, and they're in this position right now, and he can single-handedly erase that for Texas if he's able to continue to pitch like he's doing and reset the rotation for the rest of the guys.
Yeah, the other starters struggled down the stretch. He did not. He threw the ball really well.
Look at Jim Thome going the other way, just inside the line. He rounds first. Hamilton hustles it in. There was no chance that was going for extra bases.
I was going to question your description of rounding first base right there. He knew he wasn't going about 3/4 of the way down to first.
Well, this is what you want Jim Thome to do. You don't care if he hits it to the vacant third base spot because he's not hitting it in the air and certainly not hitting it over the fence. But he just keeps on trucking.
Yeah, I did notice that they didn't have the shift on Jim as nearly as much. They were playing normal depth. And sometimes I think the shift is just put on for psychological reasons. The hitter out there looks like there's no hole where I can pull the ball in, and he might change his swing. So if you have a big, strong guy, you might want him to try to change his swing.
Mark Reynolds pops that thing a mile high. Ian Kinsler makes the play, and that'll do it for the Orioles in the 4th. Sunday at noon Eastern, only on MLB Network. Go to MLBnetwork.com for channel number. Guys do a great job there. Enjoy watching John on MLB Network quite a bit. And look at that ground ball handled by J.J. Hardy. That was a bullet by Beltre for the first out. Moments ago, we spoke with Orioles manager Buck Showalter. Buck, how would you assess what we've seen from Joe Saunders so far?
Well, Joe usually gives you a chance to win. He's a professional pitcher that knows his limitations and gets after it.
Hey, Buck, you ran McLeod, but certainly running Reynolds. Is this a sign that you're being a little bit more aggressive trying to make something happen?
You know what, Cal, the best time is when you trust your players. And I told him before we started this series and the whole month that the only time I'm going to get upset if you don't go for it. You feel it, you go for it. You got a pitch you want to make 3-2, go for it. You want to throw to a certain base or pick, go for it. The only thing I'm going to get upset if they're timid, not letting it fly. Both those are on their own.
Our thanks to Buck Showalter as Nelly Cruz lines a one-out single to right.
Now, if I was talking to him from the other side, I might not believe that. Because I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. Those guys run their own. McLeod, yeah, okay. He's a base stealer. But Reynolds on his own, he truly does want to let it fly. He truly wants to make that happen. But I have a sense that Buck likes to control things. I'd have to start to question that.
Well, I think in hindsight, when a statistic is so against a starting pitcher as far as stolen bases, I think you sit here and go, boys, everybody else is doing it. When the opportunity's there, let's take advantage of it. And they certainly have. Getting runners on, getting them in scoring position, just having that one big hit yet.
Well, certainly we looked at the signs for Hugh Darvish. The little fly balls and the strikeout and the command was better. 2 rockets in this inning right here. J.J. Hardy, who's had a fantastic year at shortstop, really easily handled that first one. But certainly that might not be such a good sign for Joe.
Cruz with the lead at first. Young, who singled his first time, waiting on a 1-1 from Bazooka Joe Saunders. Michael Young, a career low in homers this year at 8, and had 67 RBIs compared to 106 last year in roughly the same number of games. But he's always a valuable guy here, heart and soul of this team. Plays everywhere in the infield, DH. And tonight he's the first baseman for the Rangers. And he waits on a 1-2.
Gets a lot of big hits. And certainly the home run are a little bit down. The average is a little bit down. But I still want him playing in the postseason.
Originally signed by Toronto, but he has only played for the Texas Rangers. Here comes the 2-2. Going the other way, base hit into right. Cruz around second. And he will be into third with a slide. They're at the corners with 1 out. Michael Young is 2 for 2.
I always like to watch the shortstop. Certainly on a base hit here, the shortstop's responsibility is to be the cutoff guy to third. But because Flaherty has dove for that ball, he can't get back to second. So JJ has to play both roles. He has to cover second base and also be the cutoff man. So there was an opportunity on that high throw for Michael Young to continue to go on to second base. You can't help it. I always got to look at the shortstop.
Here's Mike Napoli. They are on their feet here in Arlington in a tie game.
Once again, trying to go in, threw it up and away, got a swing and a miss. And then they go back in there and paint. It's obvious that's where they want to try to control his ability to drive the ball and hit it in the air, which would result in a run. They want to find a way to get it on the ground. He doesn't have a lot of speed and get an inning-ending double play if possible.
One bad pitch, one good pitch.
Yeah,
Right
absolutely.
there.
Certainly you go with the pitcher's strength, but you want to pitch him inside. You don't want to have him go out over the plate.
Tried to check his swing and could not.
So let me ask you this.
And Napoli strikes out for the second time tonight.
If your strength is down and away, down and away, down and away, do you even attempt to go in there even though you know his weakness is in?
I think when you have, again, glaring statistics that show a hole, that show a weakness, yes, then you divert from your strength. One of the things that he was able to do is get away with that first bad pitch and then make the really good second pitch, and now the zone opened up. He could throw that curveball and make it look like he's going back in there, and of course the hitter didn't hold up.
Now here's Soto, who struck out his first time to end the second. Runners at first and third.
Back out to his bread and butter. Giovanni had some good power a number of years with Chicago, didn't he?
He did.
Good defensive catcher, works really well with a pitcher. Also has some power.
Breaking pitch over, ball and a strike.
That was a good sharp breaking ball right there.
That has been his best pitch along with his changeup all night. He's made better pitches as the game has gone on with his fastball. Missing away and then coming in for effect, he's gotten some of those calls.
The Weeders kept it in front with the runner at third. 2 balls and a strike. Saunders has walked 1, has struck out 4. And has allowed 5 Texas hits, 2 here in the 4th. And he's a strike away from getting out of this jam in the 4th.
Soto did have 23 homers, 86 RBIs in 2008 with the Cubs.
National League Rookie of the Year. The 2-2. Grounded to second. Flaherty will go the short way. And that'll do it for the Rangers in their half of the 4th. Flaherty takes a slow breaking pitch inside 1-0.
Hadn't seen too many of those. That's at 69. That's a little harder than the 64 one. Still hard to wait on that thing.
2 balls and no strikes. I think Flaherty may have forgotten how many outs there were in the
I think there was
half of that inning.
I think there was a little mental mistake there.
A little sense of urgency to getting that force at second.
He turned his head back to see how the result was going to be at first base. I guess it's better to make it with 2 outs.
It all turned out fine for the Orioles, as they left him at first and third in the 4th. Here's that play to end the 4th.
First and third. We're going to get 2 right here to get out of the inning. Oh, there's already 2 outs. He's going to home.
Maybe nobody noticed in the dugout. I'm sure he heard about it. Takes a strike, 3-2.
Even in the stadium with all the scoreboards and all the different places where the outs are, every once in a while that happens. I was always paranoid, checking with everybody next to me, saying, "Hey, how many outs? 2 outs, 2 outs, right? 1 out." And I would always recommend to any of the infielders, check with your guys all around. We all do it.
That ball is hit well to left center. Craig Gentry makes the play. 1 down. Moments ago, we spoke with Rangers manager Ron Washington. Ron, not exactly the greatest time to have to talk to you when you got runners at the corners and can't get them in, but how do you assess 4 innings of play here?
Well, it's the pitching that's working right now, and if we just keep getting them out there, pretty soon we'll get them through. I thought we was in a pretty good situation right there where we had Napoli up there. All we needed was a fly ball, but Saunders made some pitches.
Ron, you've had some injuries to your starters this year, but when you went out and got this guy and spent a lot of money, I think people were wondering, could this be the guy? And he's in the biggest spot for you right now. Are you surprised by what he's done?
No, I'm not. He's a hard worker. He's very conscientious. He's aware of what's going on. He has baseball instincts, and it was just a matter of him getting through the culture shock and the changes that he had to go through, and he finally put it together.
Well, Darvish jumping out 0-2 on Manny Machado.
I wonder if Manny's thinking, I'd never faced anybody that had that slow of a breaking ball.
He got him swinging for the second out.
Well, early in his career, when you try to get a book on a guy, he has not done well against the breaking ball or the curveball, hitting only 174. So you try to make the hitter adjust and keep throwing it until he can't hit it. But he certainly likes the fastball, and he has the flair as he broke in second game, hitting 2 home runs for the Orioles in his second game.
Most young hitters like the fastball.
Yep.
It takes a little while to figure out how you wait. I thought it took about 1,000 at bats before you start to learn yourself as a hitter. I don't know what the equivalent would be for pitching.
It's about 400 innings or so, 400 to 600 innings, I think, especially in the minor leagues, trying to find out what you're going to do. And nowadays, we don't have that basis because I'm not going to get into it.
Oh, pitch counts?
I'm not going to get into it.
Nate McLouth wide of first. One makes the play to Darvish. And that's an easy 1-2-3, top of the 5th. Your Friday night with us here on TBS. First of its kind in Major League Baseball, the wild card game. This afternoon in the National League, the Cardinals beating the Braves 6-3. And here in the American League, it's the Orioles and Rangers all knotted up at 1 as we go to the bottom half of the 5th. The winner gets the New York Yankees in the American League Division Series. Craig Gentry swings at the first pitch, and Nate McLeod puts it in his pocket for the first out.
Yeah, what's interesting is under the old format, they would be playing a one-game playoff to determine the wild card, then start their series. So, in essence, these two teams are here. Whether you like it or not, we'll see in time if this system plays out and tweak it a little bit next year. But the winner of this game, which I think is important enough to say, starts at home, which would not have been under the old system.
They will either head to Baltimore for Game 1 Sunday, or it'll be here in Texas.
It's just this year. 2 at home and 3 on the road. Because you might not get to that 5th game. It's got to be a huge advantage to play the first 2 at home.
The team that, the New York Yankees really took care of business on the last day of the season. AL West, AL East, both up for grabs in the last day. By virtue of winning that game, as Kinsler slaps a single into center. By virtue of winning that game and clinching the AL East and the best record, the Yankees got a chance to sit back, take a deep breath, reset, and then start everything on Sunday. So actually getting Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. Meantime, you saw what happened to the Texas Rangers, up by 5 with 9 to play, and then having to play this knockout game and hope to move on.
There's your little March Madness, mini March Madness brackets. You see, Ernie, the #1 ranking New York Yankees.
Top seed.
Top seed. Getting the play-in, we're not supposed to call it the play-in game. The wild card winner.
You've done so well for 4.5 innings.
I know.
I still love it. I love adding the excitement of the second wild card. I love the fact that right to the last day of the season, even though you knew that Oakland was in and Texas was in, and then Baltimore and New York was in, you went right down to the last day of the season determining who was going to win the pennant. And that was exciting baseball. And not to mention all the other teams that had a chance to be in that second wild card.
To your point, you wonder if Baltimore, in their quest to win the division, because it was so close, had to play all the way to the end, as did Oakland. Oakland gets the prize in waiting, but a team like Atlanta, who did not win today, knew for a long time they were in the position, could rest their players, where Baltimore could not. That's why Joe Saunders happens to be the next guy on the mound. They're dealing with it as they have all year. So it went down to the wire. To your point, they win this game, they get to go home.
It's interesting. Buck refers to our #1 pitcher, since they don't really have a solid #1, one of those go-to guys. They say our #1 pitcher is the guy pitching today.
To short. There's one, and they double up a tough guy to double in Elvis Andrus, and that does it for the Rangers in the 5th.
MLB.com.
It's the new robot cam that we have. No, I'm just kidding.
There is J.J. Hardy, who has one of the 2 Oriole hits.
I vote for a shortstop cam where you can see the game exactly how the shortstop sees it.
It'll happen. It'll happen. Sooner or later it'll happen.
I'm sure you would have agreed to that, Cal, in a playoff game. Attach a camera to your head. Let us see what Cal's seeing.
Certainly if I could control where that image went. If it was live, I don't think I'd like that a whole lot. It is interesting, though, all the places you look as a shortstop. You're looking at the manager giving a sign to the coach giving a sign to the guys, and you're looking at the first base coach who relays the sign to the first base guy because he missed it, and gives you all kinds of, but your head is turning in a rhythm every single pitch.
J.J. Hardy bloops one to right for a leadoff single here in the 6th.
But I think the most reason I'd want to do it is because I'd love seeing the communication between the catcher and the pitcher. You know, who says yes to what pitch, what's going on. That information is valuable.
Did you always know what pitch was being called?
Absolutely.
Every time?
Yep. There was a couple times you get blocked out, and then you ask the second baseman. And sometimes they relied on you so much they weren't really looking either. But
do you think it gets more involved when you have somebody like Darvish and his array of pitches and the signals that Soto has to go through?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got to be a nightmare when you shake and you have a sequence of signs on second base. There were a couple times Ian Kinsler told me that they shook off for 2 straight timeouts. And then, and it was one of those things that Hugh turned around and said, sorry. They couldn't quite get to the pitch he wanted to call.
You saw the shot of Andrews. He's playing directly behind the bag at second with Chris Davis at the plate. That ball's hit hard into right field. Hardy is around second. He'll easily make it to third. They're at the corners with nobody out in the 6th.
When we see this replay, it's the left-hander's dream pitch. The guy likes to pull, and look at that ball down and in. The cutter was late, and it allowed him, even in the shift, to get it pulled so hard by the first and second baseman that now the Orioles are in business. That ball has no chance to react for either fielder.
Yeah, even when the shift is on, you still have a hole over there because Michael Young is holding the runner on first base. And who knows? You know, Buck has shown the aggressiveness. He might start to try to take advantage of the stolen base, but certainly hit it right into the shift. And that big hole over there, first and third.
Now, this is the hardest part for a pitcher. You want to get out of the inning without a run, but you can't let it become a big inning. So sacrifice the 1 run, limit it to that, keep your team right there. Obviously a pop-up ground ball, you'll trade some outs for a run, but you don't want to create the crooked number this late in the game.
Adam Jones going to right, Cruz back, shy of the track, makes the play, but the tie is broken as Hardy scores on the sacrifice fly. It's 2-1 Baltimore.
That certainly does what you were trying to communicate, because the sac fly keeps the guy on first base, one run scores, double play in order.
Yeah, the double play is still there. All is not lost, and now he gets a chance to get out of this inning without it being a big one. Now here's the cutter again. It backs up. So this inning, his cutter has been less than perfect. It has resulted in a run. And if he can make the adjustments to the next couple of hitters, he can keep it right there.
Now Ron Washington.
You see him moving his. I'm
Mike
sorry.
Maddox, yeah, there's a big meeting at the mound. Let's see if everything's okay with Darvish.
Sorry, Ernie. I could pick up on pitchers' little mannerisms and what they're doing. You see him moving his neck a lot and flinching the back of his scapula there in his area of the neck that he had an issue with. And they're going to try to make sure that this doesn't affect a lot of those pitches that we're talking about that's less than perfect.
I was trying to figure out who they were waving off, but it was the interpreter, right?
Darvish working in the 6th inning and had given up only 2 hits. Has given up 2 here in the inning, and the Orioles have taken the lead.
They may be asking if the interpreter can come out to the mound to get the proper information. wouldn't know why they would gather the umpires around. The trainer's out there, the other pitching coach and the manager, and they're trying to see if they can get him out. And of course, now they're allowing it. He'll come out and be able to get the accurate information, because we know English is not his first language, but he's been learning how to communicate to Ron Washington in simple terms. This is more important.
I didn't have the foggiest idea what the rule was there. And I guess it's better safe than sorry.
Non-uniform personnel. We'll go to Craig on this one.
Well, the interpreter is Joe Furukawa. He is a former baseball player who played, first of all, at Cal Irvine, and then he also went over and played in Japan. So he has been with him. They hired him as soon as Yu Darvish was signed by the Texas Rangers. He has been allowed at all times to be with them, except during the clubhouse area and also outside of the normal procedures with the media. They want Darvish to try to learn more English and be more comfortable with his teammates. So he was right here, though, ready to jump out of the dugout and go see what was wrong. So he is a former baseball player who has the knowledge of the game and also has the language, and Ron Washington relies on him quite heavily and always wants to make sure when he says something that Joe says it directly. He doesn't want him to kind of sugarcoat anything he says to Darvish.
Yeah, we heard from Wash that if he wants to really emphasize something with certain words, he wants all of those relayed to Yu Darvish.
I think the universal language is the body language, facial expressions, being happy, being mad. And I think what Wash was saying is sometimes he wants to be a little bit more stern, and he wanted those words to be interpreted that way.
Darvish still trying to work it out a little bit, but he's going to stay in there. Guys pick anything up there?
No, not at all.
No, the only thing I picked up in the last couple innings, he goes behind the mound, he moves his neck around as if to maybe adjust it a little bit. It's getting a little bit cooler, the weather, you start feeling things a little bit different as the game goes on, and that conversation had to be 100% sure you can make these pitches. This game's too important to be out there trying to half step it or feel your way through it.
Well, here's Matt Wieters. The Orioles have broken the tie here in the top half of the sixth. It's 2-1. Chris Davis at first with one down.
The Rangers have, as you would expect, somebody throwing as Holland is throwing in the bullpen, and I wouldn't think they're going to wait too long. If he doesn't have success with this batter, look for maybe them to make the move, give him the time he needs to warm up, slow the game down a little bit.
In the air, in the infield, Kinsler calling and squeezes it 2 down.
Well, that's one of those plays that if the fly ball is hit in the grass right there in front of second base, you might think about letting it drop and trading out the base runners. You know, again, there's not a huge advantage, but Davis might steal a base. Wieters won't.
Definitely this next guy. We talk about all those plays, infield fly. We had it in Atlanta. I've always been waiting as a starting pitcher to have that pop-up bunt hit to you in turn 2. Well, I finally got it. I dropped it, and I threw it in center field. Waited that whole time for that to happen and never worked out.
Jim Thome is 1 out of 2. Singled in the 4th. Hit the ball hard his first time, lined out the second.
He broke his bat on the end for that ball down the third baseline against the shift. As you can see, they're playing a little bit more straight up with Jim. 2 or 3 times within the last week, he's burned the shift.
The interesting thing about starting pitching and pitching in general, so many things have to feel right for you to throw a good pitch. A stiff neck, a stiff shoulder, a lower back, all those pitches that don't allow you to get down through and execute, can have an effect of standing up, being too stiff, and not getting through a pitch. So when you see a pitcher make those mannerisms that he's doing, and he's trying to loosen up his back, you know tension's taken over, and sometimes that it translates into not so good of a pitch after that.
2 balls and a strike to Tomey. And even.
I'll tell you what, Davis at first base has gotten a pretty aggressive lead and had to dive back. It wouldn't surprise me one bit that they take a chance on trying to get a stolen base here.
Big, slow curve, strike 3 call. And the boos ring down.
I know it's just a reaction to what's going on. It never feels good, though.
O'Day is up in the bullpen. A lot of right-handers coming up. If he gets in any trouble right here, they go to the specialist probably in the submarine. Former Ranger. I think there's 7 former Rangers on this Oriole team.
Adrian Beltre takes a strike.
But Joe Saunders has done an incredible job getting comfortable, staying away from the rally and the double play ball being his friend, keeping the ball on the ground, and really doing a nice job with his off-speed pitches. Early on, fastball out of the zone, looked like he was going to walk the first 2 guys, came back, settled his nerves, and he's given his Orioles a chance here in the bottom of the 6th.
Only 1 walk, and that was to Kinsler to lead it off in the first. He came around to score. He's struck out 4, 3 double plays behind him, and right now he works with a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, we thought there would be some early activity on both sides in the bullpen.
To left. McLouth with the play, 2 down. Monday on TBS, there's nothing more American than baseball and 6'4" redheaded comedians. Don't miss Governor Mitt Romney's Sons Monday night after MLB postseason, only on TBS. Very funny.
Well, I think Buck, as he comes out and makes the change, sees the resume of Mr. Cruz. 9 home runs from the 6th inning on.
And look at this scene on the mound right now. Everybody patting Joe Saunders on the back for an outstanding effort here as he pitches into the 6th and leaves with a 2-1 lead. M by Motorola. Darren O'Day enters the fray here in the wild card game in relief of Joe Saunders.
If you want to know why the Orioles are here, it's a big part of their bullpen. The ability to mix and match. This guy has come in, a specialty pitcher, nasty from down under. And Mr. Cruz only 1 for 8 off of him. So you play the numbers game. And O'Day, who used to be with the Rangers, now trying to get some outs.
He didn't always throw the way he does now, coming from down under. Back at the University of Florida, he threw straight overhand, was cut by the Gator baseball team. And then as they put it, he was playing in the summer beer leagues and playing around with this underarm delivery. And it clicked for him. Made it back on the Florida baseball team.
Yeah, Darren is kind of a hybrid from down there because he throws a little bit harder down there. He will use his sidearm sling pitch up in the strike zone for a strikeout too. So that one's 80-84. That's your normal sink, getting down from under. He also has some more velocity, and he brings it out a little further and goes up the ladder when he has to. Not just a sinker.
The 1-0 to Cruz. Cut right through it. 1-1. So Joe Saunders goes 5 2/3. Allows just 1 run.
We were talking about the angle on breaking balls so much with Darvish. And this angle on this breaking ball is almost like a frisbee where it kind of goes up. Very difficult for a right-hander to track.
In the air, shallow right. Ryan Flaherty, easy play. And that's a 1-2-3 inning for the Texas Rangers. We are heading to the 7th. It's 2-1. Tonight's MLB Wild Card is presented by Budweiser. We are zipping right along here in Arlington. Top half of the 7th inning in a 2-1 game. The winner gets the New York Yankees in the American League Division Series. And it'll be a bitter end for the loser of this game. Right now 2-1 as Mark Reynolds leads it off in the 7th, and whatever exactly was bothering Yu Darvish in the 6th, not enough to keep him from going back to the mound here in the 7th. Swinging at the first pitch. Reynolds pops it up. Young will not have a play. Let's check in again with Craig Sager. Segs.
Well, I found out from the interpreter that what Yu Darvish had was a kink in his neck. And apparently they were able to kind of work it through, and he felt better during that half inning, got a little massage on his neck. And right now, as you can see, the interpreter is keeping a watchful eye on him, as is everybody in this ballpark.
All right, thank you, Craig. That's interesting. Smoltz was getting one up here between innings as well, and he looks very fresh as we head to the 7th.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready for another 5, 6, 7 innings. Well, both pitchers have done a nice job taking the tension a little bit away from the manager and when to pull a guy or how many different matchups to use. Joe Saunders, of course, turning it over to the bullpen. But right now, Yu Darvish still giving their team a chance, as they're going to get a lot of action here from moving on from this point on. It'll be controlled by the bullpens.
Reynolds has been hit by a pitch and popped out to second. 2 balls and a strike. And now 3-1.
That pitch count for Yu Darvish is outstanding in a game like this. Typically, you may throw a lot more pitches to try to get results, but he's been able to be effective, only giving up 2 runs. Mixing in his curveballs, throwing occasional fastballs, and for the most part, keeping this home run hitting team off balance.
Well, they haven't had really good swings at him. You know, they've hit a couple singles. They've manufactured a run here. They went first to third. So they're not scoring like they normally do. So he's a very difficult guy to hit.
And Reynolds goes down swinging. 7th strikeout for Darvish.
Hitting is timing. And certainly Reynolds does not cut his swing down with 2 strikes. He doesn't mind a strikeout. It's just another out to him. If you make a mistake and you leave the ball over, he can do some damage.
Only twice tonight has Darvish allowed the leadoff hitter to reach. And in both cases, he's come around to score. He gets Reynolds via the strikeout to start the 7th as Flaherty fouls it over by the Ranger dugout.
How about the split? 31 balls, 54 strikes. Seems like it's quite a few balls. Is that not normal?
Well, he doesn't mind throwing balls, and it probably is higher than that. They've swung at a few more pitches outside the strike zone. He really, and especially over in Japan, they love to work the count. The biggest challenge and the most important thing is striking out a guy 3-2 like he just did. And there's that slow curveball that just messes with a hitter's timing. And usually what comes next is something a lot harder, firmer, and then breaking to get the strikeout. 0-2.
That one only 65 miles an hour. State trooper wouldn't even bother pulling you over for that.
That was a good shot right there of the choices, going through all the different pitches. They settle on one. He's down on one knee again. And that's the 94. I wanted to say 95. So the fire comes out of the graphic there, but it didn't quite make it. But that looks like about 115 after seeing that slow hook. That's the power cutter. Nope, let's go with the slow hook. Here comes the slow curveball. Shoot. 65.
Flaherty just did get a piece.
You have a tendency that starts so high. You have a tendency to give up on it. And then all of a sudden it drops back down in there. A good emergency hack by Ryan.
Flaherty's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a line out to center. And again, just staying alive.
Back in the day when the pitchers had to chart every other pitcher, your next day starter, he'd be pretty much the old nightmare charter because you don't know half the pitches and you don't want to get him wrong. There's another curveball down, a little firmer. And again, the one thing, he does have a really good fastball. We just haven't seen it that often. He's relied on the breaking ball. He feels more comfortable with it, and it looks like the hard cutter in under the hands is the pitch here, and he left it up.
Flaherty goes the other way, and Hamilton hustles it in. So Flaherty is 1 out of 3.
Based on that pitch sequence and the way that he was setting up the hitter, that's the only thing you could have done to give that hitter an advantage. This ball's supposed to be down and in. It's up and away. He just slaps at it late. And, of course, the defense is expecting something else.
Pretty darn good at bat right there, Kevin.
Yeah, and we talked about the emergency hack. And it is really interesting to me when I hear that people foul off the balls intentionally. No, they don't. They're reacting to what they see, and they try to put a swing on it. And many times it results in a second chance. I don't know anybody that good where they can go up there and say, I'm going to just foul this ball off intentionally. But certainly they spoiled the pitch, gave him a chance. And then when he did make a mistake, left that breaking ball out over the plate, he makes him pay for it.
Well, maybe because I could never get Tony Gwynn out, I thought he did that on purpose and fouled off pitches to the one he wanted.
Well, he'd be the one guy I'd consider that could do it. He had such good back control, such good vision.
There's Robert Andino, the pinch runner at first, after the single by Flaherty.
He's going to go on and play second base. Sort of a defensive substitution and a chance to steal a bag.
Machado lays down a bunt. Beltre, bare hand, a beauty. Let's check in with Matt Weiner in Atlanta. All right, thank you very much, Matt. Ron Washington making his way to the mound.
Remember we were talking about
dropping down the bunt here, Cal.
Yeah, it's not a bad play. And we were talking about Brooks Robinson and Adrian Beltre over at third base. That's the kind of play that he makes look so easy, and that's an extremely difficult play.
Here's looking at you, Darvish. All right, thank you very much, Matt. Here in Texas, 2 out. Relief pitcher Derek Holland on, and that ball in the dirt. Nandino has third.
Nandino's got some speed, and advancing on that wild pitch is big. Because we all know you can score many different ways from third base, and it affects the pitch selection from the pitcher.
You got to anticipate a ball in the dirt, sneaks away, runner goes immediately, put the pressure on the defense. In this situation, also the pitcher. All you need the pitcher to do now, if you're Baltimore, is tense up of not wanting to go back down in that area, and that could help your hitter at the plate. So a lot of pressure at third with 2 outs.
McLeod waiting on Holland, takes a strike, 1-1.
That's 95. I didn't see the flame, though.
New graphic.
You look at Derek Holland for the most part. Obviously, he's a starter coming out of the pen. He did it earlier this week coming out of the pen, maybe in preparation for what this game represents. And it's all hands on deck as we see another one in the dirt.
That's your point, Cal, right there. Soto with a big stop. With that run just 90 feet away. Orioles lead it 2-1.
Yeah, you look at the strategy of why Machado might put that bunt down. Very similar, in my opinion, to a hit and run. You know, you take a chance. The hit and run's goal is to take a shot at it. Maybe you hit the ball on the ground and then have a vacated spot. But at the minimum, you get him to second base. That play got him into scoring position.
Andino dancing off at third. McLeod, base hit to left. Andino scores, and it's 3-1 Baltimore. Ron Washington goes lefty-lefty, and McLeod spoils it.
It would have been an interesting play with 2 outs. Hamilton is in. This ball's hit a little bit softer, but it's in front of him. Had he been on second base, we'd see a play at the plate. But just good, tough hitting. Maybe not a line drive that we saw, but in the scorebook tomorrow will be the line drive. A big run, a 2-run lead for Baltimore.
Here's J.J. Hardy as Holland throws over to first. So McLeod has knocked in a run, scored a run, and Baltimore up by 2 in the 7th.
Holland's pretty quick to the plate with his move. And many times when the left-hander has a good pickoff move to first base, you can go on first move. I think they might even just try here, just going on the first move. Pick a pitch and let's go. It's the advantage of being up 3-1 as opposed to being playing even. You can take a chance.
McLeod stole a base into first, came around to score.
Yu Darvish gets charged with that run, so he will have given up 2 earned runs in the first wild card game. Pitched extremely well. Unfortunately, he's on the losing end as he departs 3-1, and is customary always on the front step after he pitches. Doesn't go to ice his arm, trying to rally and see his troops come back.
That's first base coach Wayne Kirby whispering into the ear of Nate McLeod. And another snap throw over, gets away. McLeod takes a turn at second and will hold right there.
It's a risky pickoff move here. A lot of people can do it. You know, step off, make a quick snap throw. Didn't look like it was necessary at that time, but the risk is you don't have your body behind you. You're just throwing with your wrist. You can't be as accurate.
Number counterpart Terry Mulholland, the best I've ever seen with that little jab step throw, and picked off a lot of guys. Right there, he picked off his first baseman.
Hardy knocked in 68 runs during the regular season. McLeod is out there for him here with 2 out in the 7th.
People used to ask, what does experience do in a game 7? Well, it only means what you can do to put pressure on another team. Certainly Baltimore lacks the experience, but they're doing everything they can to create pressure on Texas. So right now that experience hasn't meant a whole lot.
And Hardy goes down swinging to end the 7th. But the Orioles add to their lead. Time to stretch in Texas. We move to the bottom half of the 7th in Arlington. The American League wild card game. The winner gets the Yankees. The loser goes home. It's 3-1 Baltimore as we head to the bottom of the 7th. What's the story of the game so far for you, Cal?
The story of the game to me is that Baltimore kept it close. The chance that Joe Saunders was going out there with this explosive offense and then fall behind, if they keep it close and get a one-run game and an opportunity, it plays into the Baltimore Orioles' hands.
Yeah, to me, 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Hamilton hits into a double play. That changed everything. You had to put pressure on Baltimore. If you're Texas, 3 double plays. Saunders did everything you could ask for and more, and now you're talking about Mr. Johnson in the waiting in his 51 saves.
Exactly. Jim Johnson with 51, 10th pitcher to do that. A guy like John Smoltz once had 55 in a season. Johnson with 51, and if the Orioles can maintain their lead, it'll certainly be JJ time here in Texas.
Well, that's when Smoltz had about 150 appearances, isn't it? Get those 55 saves.
It was different.
We saw Robert Andino, who pinch ran and scored in the 7th, staying in the game to play second base.
I got a lot of respect for guys that come in and play defense at the end of the ball game. Sitting on the bench, they're kind of cold, not into the flow of the game, and usually the ball finds you early on when you get back out there.
Isn't that the truth?
Michael Young will lead it off in the 7th. He's 2 out of 2. Trying to get something going for the Rangers, who trail 3-1. O'Day deals inside. 1-0.
If you're Texas here, you've got to be selective. You can't get it all back right away. You've got to look for a pitch. Their offense, historically over the year, was one of the best offenses. They've been quiet, only one run. They've got to start feasting on some mistakes and get some runners on and create pressure for that very good Baltimore bullpen.
They've scored 808 runs in the regular season, #1 in baseball. They've been held to 1 tonight. It was scored by their leadoff hitter in the first, Ian Kinsler, after a walk, and he scored on a double play. To Hardy.
As a hitter, you're always in a quandary in this situation. You're down 3-1. Yes, you know you need some base runners. Yes, you know you got to be patient. And then you go up there and find yourself in a hole. You take a pitch, now it's a strike. And now you feel you have to swing at the pitcher's pitch. Experience does play in. You know, it allows a team not to try to get it all back at one time, not to try to do it all themselves and hit a home run every time up. But it is still a tough thing to go up there and just take a pitch and then find yourself in the hole.
Well, Napoli chant goes up here in Arlington for the Rangers DH. You guys have both been in situations like this. What is it like? I know it's nervous time for fans who are here, fans who are watching around the country. You're a player in a game like this. It's a 3-1 game. You see the outs dwindling away. Or you see, on the other hand, if you're the Orioles, hey, look, we're this many outs away from moving on to the ALDS.
I'll take that first if you want. You focus on the moment. You know, either way, you don't want to get too excited and have the game over with too soon and get ahead of yourself. You got to focus on each pitch. And if you're the Texas Rangers, you have to go up there and give it a good at bat, focus on each pitch, and concentrate what you can do. Don't let yourself get out of that in the moment sort of feeling.
I know I can speak from experience. I'm not saying every player does it, but you never let the tying run get on base. You always are one step away, and as if the offense, you want the tying run on base. You're always one swing away. I think in baseball, when you're 4 runs or less, you always got a shot. And if you're pitching, you want to make sure they don't have that momentum going their way. And every out from this point on just increases your chances with a great bullpen.
O'Day handled that one himself for the second out. Team Stream, it's the way baseball fans stay in the now. Head over to the App Store or Google Play and download Team Stream now. Pinch hitter now for the Texas Rangers is Mitch Moreland.
You know, no matter how much experience you have, you do still get nervous when you're behind. You start to see your opportunities slipping away a little bit.
Absolutely.
And the natural tendency is to try to do a little bit more. There's no question about it. That's why I believe that in these type games, it's easier to play when you got a 1-run lead. Not even, not behind. It's easier to play when you got that. Even a 1-run lead relaxes you.
Moreland, a .275 hitter. 15 home runs and 50 runs batted in. And a tough month of September after his average was hovering about 300.
But what's amazing about this atmosphere in this game, all they got to do is get a runner on. The crowd starts amping up. The emotions start going. We're one swing away. They have been the last 7 hitters, including the double play. No one's been on base, so they've got to find a way to get a guy on and create that environment that we've come to know here in Texas, and that's players and innings that have put a 3 and 4 and 5 spot up here at a frequent rate.
Yeah, this offense especially, all they need is a ray of hope, and normally that comes with a base runner. They've done it how many times during the season? 800 runs. They put up crooked numbers many times before, but the pressure does start to mount.
And Moreland waves at that one. Goes down swinging. 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. Nervous time in Texas. Sunday on MLB Network. It's ALDS Game 2. Yoenis Cespedes and the A's battling Miguel Cabrera and the Detroit Tigers. Coverage begins Sunday at noon Eastern, only on MLB Network. Go to MLBnetwork.com for channel number. Koji Uehara on the pitch for the Rangers. And Mike Napoli has moved behind the plate, replacing Giovanni Soto.
Well, the batter and the pitcher were traded for each other on opposite sides. This guy has been on fire lately, Cal. He's done a great job, especially retiring the first batter, almost a 90% rate.
Opponent's only hitting 160 off of him.
Some guys have that invisiball, you call it. It's a fastball that doesn't wow you, but it's a fastball that the hitters don't see for whatever reason. And as you mentioned, sometimes the count doesn't matter. And he seems to have it. The hitters don't pick it up for whatever reason in hittable counts.
Yeah, it's certainly not 95. It's 89 right there. But he must have some deception on it because hitters don't react to like the fastball like it's 89. They react more like it's 95.
He tied up Chris Davis right there for the first out of the 8th.
And that's his signature. Go upstairs when he wants to strike you out, or the other one is the split.
Well, you look at this exactly. Look where the catcher wanted it. Rarely do you see a catcher stand up and a pitcher be able to deliver it in that area. That was tough for me. I was going to paint it right down the middle when the catcher stood up, so I told him, don't waste your time.
So let me get this right. You didn't like the catcher on his knee, and you didn't like him standing up.
That's right. I had the little monkey when those things came that way.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah. Well, he's been on a nice stretch. 11 2/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 19 strikeouts and 1 walk. That is a pitcher who is hot.
And recently had a streak in which he set down 25 consecutive hitters. There's a big cut by Adam Jones. His sacrifice fly in the 6th broke a 1-1 tie. Orioles then added a run in the 7th and lead it 3-1. We play in the 8th.
There's the split finger right there at 81. Bottom drops out. There's no hesitation in his delivery. It's kind of a quick delivery and maybe almost borderline jump at the hitter, which might give a little bit more oomph to that fastball. But a tight delivery where he keeps going towards home plate. And he's kept hitters off balance even in hittable counts.
That's a 3-1 split right there. 80 miles an hour, way out in front of it. Now, from a hitter's perspective, you got to cover both.
Yeah. You think he might go back to that fastball after slowing him down with a couple off-speed pitches.
3-2.
I always thought 3-2 was a little bit more of a defensive count for the hitters. What do you think of it as a pitcher?
Well, I'm pegging who's aggressive, who wants to walk and who doesn't, and then 3-2 becomes a valuable pitcher for a pitch for a pitcher. If the hitter is disciplined, then you're at a disadvantage. It's more of a hitter's count.
Back-to-back strikeouts here in the 8th for Uehara.
And what I mean by that is then I can expand the zone. I can make something look like a fastball, like he did there with a split or a slider, a guy that lives outside the plate. Right here looks arm action the same, comes out as a fastball, the bottom drops out. So a hitter who's got quiet hands, stays back, and doesn't really jump out a little bit, you're going to be more apt to not want to, he won't chase that pitch.
And so for the hitter, from my perspective, you can't be overly aggressive in that. And I need to make you at least make a strike.
Right.
Matt Wieters takes down low. 1-0.
Which that by definition means I'm waiting a little longer and I'm not nearly as aggressive. So I feel defensive. And Koji does have it going on.
Can't get that ball back quick enough. Wants to go to work. Wieters steps back in. Uehara to the plate. That ball is hit along the line. Fair or foul. That is a foul ball.
going and making a mistake in with a fastball. I'd almost willingly say that a split's coming next. Look at the umpire's got to turn around, directly look down the line. It's got him a quirky situation where on TV you can't see that corner. He's got a good look. He calls it foul.
We laugh because we talked about this earlier. If you look down the line from the pole, you have 3 guys that have the same view.
Called foul. Now that split that he did go to, he left it in. Split fingers have to be away. They must end up as a ball. They can't be thrown as a strike. See if he makes the adjustment and goes further away from the left-hander and get the ball down for a swing and a miss.
Yeah, when a hitter covers both of your pitches, a split and a fastball, and that's your 2 options.
Then you got to change his eye levels. If they're all based on the same level, you had to have shown something different up and expand it that way.
2-2. He got it. Uehara strikes out the side in the 8th. Episodes on a brand new network. Cougar Town has moved to TBS. The new season begins this January, only on TBS. I think we've given you sufficient warning on that one. Mark that down, John. January. Bottom half of the 8th. David Murphy will pinch hit for the Rangers, who trail 3-1. Winner moves on, loser goes home. AL wildcard game.
Certainly this place came alive in between innings, and will get even louder if they can just manage a base runner.
Well, they understand what the other team has in Jim Johnson. They also understand the circumstance. They'd love to come back here Sunday. And the only way to do that is to get a few runs and get this team putting pressure on the Baltimore Orioles. And every chance Baltimore has had to feel the pressure, they have come up big with a double play or a good pitch or a strikeout.
O'Day has retired all 4 hitters he's faced in relief of Joe Saunders. To first. The flip. The out. 1 down.
Baltimore is the only team without a loss after leading 7 innings, 74-0.
I think they've had a couple of ties where they had to go into extra innings to win it. Jimmy Johnson, I think, blew a couple saves, but they were able to win it to keep that record intact. They're the only one, huh?
Impressive stat.
74-0. That's certainly Buck Showalter's strong suit, how to manage through these close games. He's been able to do it very well his whole career. And even when the Orioles weren't winning 90 games, which I have to catch myself, it only happened this year.
Here's Ian Kinsler.
And he was always good at these type situations.
Kinsler with a walk in the first and has scored the only Texas run. He singled in the 5th and was erased in a double play. It's 1 of 3 the Orioles have turned.
It's the front door slider. That's a hard pitch to control. It's a deceiving pitch for the hitter to see, that breaking ball coming down in there, but equally it's hard to control.
Cal, how did you like hitting against guys who came from down under like O'Day does?
Didn't like it very much. I think one of the toughest ones that threw out there that for me was Jeff Nelson with the Yankees.
Soft liner that Hardy cannot feel. Didn't get much of it, but he got enough. And Kinsler is on with 1 down.
Jam job with a lot of spin. And here comes the ball. JJ's got to come in because Kinsler runs very well at first base. Just doesn't make the catch. He had his footwork set perfectly to catch and throw off his right foot, but doesn't come up with the ball.
Now, would you have been tempted to go bare hand there?
No. On that, if he was getting his footwork set, so he was going to feel it off his left foot, throw off his right foot. And certainly I think the unpredictable nature of how the ball was bouncing, entered into him being able to come up with that. But speed caused that to happen. You got to go make that play that way.
It's an infield hit for Kinsler, and here is Elvis Andrus.
Certainly a lot of people now will take more speed and one-handed, but many times their footwork will go left, right, or something. If they take more steps because they have more speed, JJ is very efficient with catching and throwing off the next step. You have a shot at him if he comes up with that ball.
Obviously, Elvis Andrus would love to still create the momentum for Josh Hamilton, who Brian Mattis is in the bullpen as well now. It looks like Jim Johnson, if my eyes are good. Everything's coming down to this situation with the tying run at the plate with the power that Texas has. Should be exciting to see how it works out.
He just had a good shot at Manny Machado over at third base. If I was Manny, I'd be thinking right now, I cannot let a bunt base hit come down the third base line. I cannot. Throwing from the side, there's a tendency, difficulty on the right-hand hitter to make this bunt. He's playing even with the bag, which is challenging him just a little bit. If he makes a perfect bunt, that's a tough play to make from that position.
Andrus handles the bat well. He waits on a 1-1 from Darren O'Day. There goes Kinsler. Fouled off.
Kinsler wasn't sure where the ball was right there. Leads me to believe that it was more of a straight steal. He'll normally take a peek and find out where the ball is.
Kinsler, who has 2 hits, takes his lead at first. Andrews, who has 2 hits tonight, waiting on a 1 and 2.
There's the Frisbee breaking ball.
And time called. The Orioles haven't been to the playoffs since 1997.
You see John Russell right there giving signs to Matt Wieters. That's for throwovers. And as you can see, the quick flick of the thumb, he's thrown over.
And the ball gets away. Kinsler to second and will hold there.
Great reaction by the second baseman and right fielder, trying to keep him at second base as they know the pickoff's coming. This is the second time we've seen this through the legs of the runner, and right away everybody reacts to try to get over and limit it to one base. Good job by the Orioles after the pitcher had thrown it away.
Certainly seems ironic we have an error at first base on a fielding play, and we also have an error thrown over to first base by both teams.
Rick Adair is the Orioles pitching coach. Darren O'Day, the second Baltimore pitcher, retired the first 5 he saw. Then Kinsler singled, advanced to second base on the throwing error. And Andrews still up there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Too short. Hardy throws him out for the second out. Cal, one of those little hops. It's a little in-betweener, and Hardy gobbled it up.
I was curious, if we take a look at that again, Kinsler didn't break when normally a ball that's behind him where he could move to the bag. A little cautious, and I think JJ caught a look at him and was going to come in and try to make that play, which caught him in between. Normally the rule is, okay, well, he froze a little bit on the line drive, didn't get a good read, and now he's heading back. I think JJ saw him and came in. But yeah, that shows how good a hands he has too, in between hop.
2 down here in the 8th. We'll be back. Don Orsillo and Buck Martinez with the call there. And then the Reds and Giants called by Brian Anderson, Joe Simpson, and Ron Darling. And they'll be on deck from our Atlanta studio as well. Brian Mattis on to face Josh Hamilton. Lefty. 2-run game in the 8th.
92-mile-an-hour fastball. This is the matchup I think Buck was looking to. Career versus Mattis. Josh is 0 for 9.
And we saw that postseason number 2, Cal. 1 home run in his last 82 postseason at bats, and he had a home run cut there and came up empty.
I thought you were going to bet the house he was going to throw a breaking ball in the first pitch.
I did say that in the break, but I didn't say it on the air.
What he says
we were still in the break
doesn't count. No balls and 2 strikes to Josh Hamilton. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. We're heading to the 9th. David Murphy stays in the game in left field. Josh Hamilton moves from left to center. And Joe Nathan is the new Texas pitcher.
Joe Nathan having an incredible comeback year for the Rangers, coming back from Tommy John and some of the things he had to deal with. Been a different story a little bit. He's been great, but he's been great on the road as well. If he's had any hiccups, it's been at home.
Strike to Jim Thome, 1-1. Thome's 1 out of 3.
Home ERA 4.17, 7 home runs on the road, no home runs, and a 0.98 ERA. No blown saves on the road.
Thome takes a strike count, even 2 balls and 2 strikes. If you're just joining us, the American League wild card game, something new to baseball this year in each league. The two wild card teams meeting. One game, winner moves on, and the season ends for the loser. Earlier today, the Atlanta Braves at home falling to the St. Louis Cardinals. As the reigning world champions move on. Texas at home in trouble here in the ninth.
Both visitors packing their bags, hoping that when they go home they have more baseball to play. And obviously the home teams were hoping the same as well. Atlanta didn't get it done. Texas is going to need a I'd call it a small miracle against a guy who's had an incredible year. 51 saves out of 54. So there's steal a line from Dumb and Dumber. So you say, I've got a chance. They'd like to have just a chance going into the ninth inning being down 2.
The home field plays a role if you can get ahead, if you can start to score runs. If you're the opposing team, getting out a little bit quiets the crowd, takes that advantage away.
Leadoff walk to Tomey here in the ninth. And here is Mark Reynolds.
Yeah, that is one thing you would think Buck would pinch run right here for Tomey, but generally speaking, he doesn't pinch run for Matt Wieters. He wants to keep that bat in the lineup just in case something happens in the extra innings. That hitter might come up again.
Well, he's proven to be right then, because that's all they do is win extra inning games.
So he's not quick. You know, some managers would call themselves aggressive. I'm going to play for this 4th run. Buck's not. Buck's going to keep the bat in the lineup, and if something were to go wrong, he still has his strong lineup in there.
Reynolds looking for his first hit of the night, was hit by a pitch his first time. And he takes outside. It's 2-0.
This isn't your typical appearance by any means because you're in the playoffs. It's not a save situation, but over the years you've seen many, many different closers that struggle in situations other than save situations.
Well, you have this incredible adrenaline and platform for which you come in normally with the lead. Everybody knows what's at stake. You're supposed to get 3 outs before they tie the game, and then that adrenaline's not quite the same. Kimbrel had to do it in Atlanta, pitching down, keeping his team there. Now Nathan has to do it here at home. His responsibility is, I cannot possibly give up a run, obviously, if we're going to have a chance to come back against the other closer. But there is that adrenaline rush that's hard to explain, because you would think pitching is pitching. You got to get 3 outs. You see what they do in Oakland when Balfour comes in, when it's like, oh my gosh. I guarantee you it's hard for him to duplicate that if he's down 2 and those people are going nuts like that. But it's just the aura and it's the role, and it's just part of the deal now.
Balfour certainly feeds off that emotion.
Reynolds fouls it straight back.
I was going to ask you if we were in range. I guess we are.
I am a total different customer when a foul ball comes in the booth now, after some bad experiences.
I did see that bad experience. Boston?
Yeah. The booth was 1/10 this size.
Nathan to Reynolds. And he stays alive. 2-2.
Nathan has that Brad Lidge type slider. It goes straight down. Most people throw a curveball that goes straight down. He throws a hard slider that starts over the middle of the plate and actually goes more down than it goes left to right. He feeds off that fastball at 93 and then throws that slider hard in the middle of the plate and trying to get swings and misses down in the zone.
And the battle continues between Nathan and Reynolds.
Most closers get it done with 2 pitches.
Traditionally, yep, that's or a trick pitch, but I think the one thing that most closers have learned to do is feed off of the hitter's eye levels with those 2 pitches. A good fastball typically, and some kind of breaking speed pitch that is very difficult to hit.
Specialty forkball, specialty changeup, and the difference in miles per hour.
I think the guy in the game right now, I mean, we're seeing 4 dynamic closers in the game, historic years. Kimbrel, 2-pitch, nasty slider. Chapman, 100-mile-an-hour fastball and beyond. Rodney, incredible changeup, fastball. And then Jim Johnson, when we get a chance to see him, he doesn't flash it. It's not flashy. It's like throwing a bowling ball up at home plate. Try to hit that.
And it feels that way, too.
2-2 to Reynolds. And Nathan wins the battle. 1 down.
My dad used to say the ball only weighs 5 1/4 ounces. But when you hit someone with a sinker like Jim Johnson's, it feels like it's about 10 pounds.
Yeah. Well, this is a hard fastball down in the zone. Good life. Just out of the hitting zone for Mark Reynolds.
That's a dozen strikeouts for Ranger pitching tonight. Here's Robert Andino. Came on to pinch run after Ryan Flaherty singled in the 7th. And came around to score the 3rd Baltimore run on a Nate McLouth RBI single.
Andino doesn't get cheated. It's the one thing when he comes up there, he's swinging the bat. He's got some big hits. Last year he was the spoiler off of Papelbon.
Yeah. I tell you, the Orioles have had some strange ways that they've won. They won a game in Tampa, 1-0, struck out 15 times. So strikeouts don't seem to come back to haunt them as much as it would other teams because of that home run and their it factor, if you will. 15 strikeouts and win a game. That's pretty unbelievable.
It is a mentality. The strikeout to them is just an out. It would make me cringe if you had a game that you struck out 2 or 3 times. Felt like you were a failure in that particular game. But big league guys make plays 99.999% of the time. And if you're cutting down your swing and just trying to put it in play, I can see the logic by looking for a mistake and making the pitcher pay.
Andino takes down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Beltre, Cruz, and Young due in the 9th for the Rangers, who trail 3-1. Orioles trying to add to their lead here in the 9th. That ball is tattooed pretty well to left. Murphy back, that's off the wall. Tomey will wind up at 3rd as Andino with a ringing double off the wall and left.
He can hit the fastball. Absolutely can hit the fastball. When you play him a little bit too much, people tend to know that and throw the breaking ball a little bit more.
That one right there, right down the middle, trying to go in, and certainly did not get it in. Right down the middle. Lucky to have that one stay in the park. You see the fence there in left field is a little bit taller than everywhere else, or that might have been a home run.
Now they're going to pinch run for Tomey with Lou Ford at 3rd. And you wonder if the pinch running move had been made earlier. If Lou Ford scores on that. Shot to the wall and left.
Yeah, that baffles me a little bit.
Maybe that 1st to 3rd took a little out of the 42-year-old.
Yeah, there's Jim right here on the screen. He looks like he's still moving around.
So runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. And 20-year-old Manny Machado with a chance to break it open.
This could be in a bat of all breaking balls with a base open and trying to get obviously a strikeout.
But he went with the heater first pitch.
And Machado with the advantage of a drawn-in Texas infield.
Now there's a shot of the infield. It's always a pet peeve of mine when the infielders don't play all the way in. Beltre's got an angle over there. He's fine where he is.
They throw back, and Ford was alert.
And that's just to say, hey, look, we know you're going to try to score on the contact play. We know you're going to take a chance. You're down there a little too far. Let me give my infielders that extra help on any ground ball just to your right or to your left.
First two pitches, fastballs in, establishing in, maybe trying to get him out away.
Nice play by Napoli.
There's that hard downer slider. You're right, he gets over top of that. Really late break, sharp break.
This kid has showed incredible maturity, but as a pitcher for Joe Nathan, he's got to feed off of being able to be better with that breaking ball. Get a swing and a miss away from the plate after they've established in.
Big cut, 2-2.
A lot of people have had big cuts tonight, but that normally is a indication from a young guy that is in a playoff position and wants to do well, feels like he's going to fall, and just swings a little too hard. Slows the bat down a little bit.
Howard straight back. Count stays 2-2.
It's a much shorter swing. Of course, he's got to protect at the plate. And maybe that's the best thing that could happen to him right now, is to get a 2-strike count.
Machado, a guy who in his first week in the big leagues was the American League Player of the Week back in August.
Put away slider right here, Ernie, is what it begs for. Let's see what he goes to.
Lined off the glove of Andrews and into left. A run will score, and runners are at first and third.
That's where the strikeout really hurts you on an offense. So by shortening up, getting that shorter stroke and catching that slider, you got to put the ball in play to give yourself a chance to score a run there. And he put the ball in play very hard. Line drive to left.
This wasn't a bad pitch when I saw it live, and it's down, and that's all he does, Cal, is get the barrel of the bat, extends it, fools the hitter just enough, but he gets enough of the bat on the ball to get it over the drawn-in infield. Great job by the youngster in Manny Machado. When you look at statistically, he had much success on breaking balls, and he did there. When you look at what Joe Nathan was trying to do early on, it was fastballs in. Here's a fastball in that he pulls straight down. Here's a fastball in that he gets for a strike. And then he goes to a pulled slider away. It didn't do anything to the hitter. Good fastball, swings through it. Another good fastball, he fouls away. And then the slider that just actually, you just got to tip your hat. It's not a time when you want to tip your hat as a pitcher, but he made the right pitch, but the hitter got the hit.
Talked about the advantage of hitting against that drawn-in infield, and Machado cashes in.
Great piece of hitting, and you could see the Orioles were running on that line drive. If Elvis was able to make that diving catch, it's a sure double play. They were looking to score that run. They were taking a chance.
Runners at first and third. Now it's 4-1. And still only one out. Nate McLeod waiting on a 1-0 from Joe Nathan. McLeod has knocked in a run. He's scored a run. But Showalter and the Orioles 3 outs away. The old American Legion play. And the runners stay put.
Texas is choosing to play the infield back. Klaus got good speed to first base, so if you're the infielder, you got to make every ground ball up the middle of double play ball. So they're much shorter now. It's a shorter double play depth for the reason of I have to get a double play. Any ground ball's got to be a double play. We're taking a chance, giving up a few feet of range. We need to make this a double play.
Well, I'll tell you what I've been impressed with Baltimore that I didn't think I was going to see. The discipline of the hitters. I know they strike out. We've gotten some strikeouts, but the discipline in certain situations that have really aided to them being ahead of the Texas Rangers. And that's not easily done. So the theory and the attitude, well, just go out there and play a natural baseball game, has worked for Buck, as he basically has told the guys, go see. If you like it 3-0, go get it. If you want to steal, go ahead. And I think that attitude so far has worked to his advantage. And it's giving them the chance to win. And I know the anxiousness of Jim Johnson waiting for this inning to unfold to get out for the ninth has got to be one that he's been dreaming of for a long time. 51 saves don't mean anything right now. It's this one game.
That's a great point. You free up your players instead of tightening them up.
Hamilton with the catch in center. And that'll score another Baltimore run as Robert Andino crosses the plate, and it is 5-1. Second RBI of the night for Nate McLouth. And here's J.J. Hardy. Machado's at first with 2 out. Baltimore has padded the lead here in the ninth off Joe Nathan. And you can see some Texas fans who have watched this team go to the World Series in consecutive years head with heads down for the exits.
I'm sure 5 games ago we'd never be even uttering the words, could this be the last game that Josh Hamilton plays for the Texas Rangers? His last at bat was a strikeout. He's got a contract up. I'm sure they thought this would be something they would be talking about well in October as they play for their 3rd World Series. Well, they're going to need a furious rally here in the ninth because that 5-game lead that they had on September 24th and the best record in the AL has suddenly disappeared. You could see the air out of the balloon go out of this team a little bit, and this one game has just proven timing can be everything, Cal, when you want to play your best baseball at the time that it matters, and it just hasn't been so far for the Rangers this last week.
Yeah, you want to be playing your best baseball going into the playoffs, and we've seen over the years that a wild card getting in is playing that sort of best baseball, but it works in reverse. Right now, Texas can't play their brand of baseball. They haven't pitched real well on a consistent basis. They haven't scored runs on a consistent basis. And it's just a bad time for this sort of slump.
No balls and 2 strikes. Hardy lines it to Kinsler for the 3rd out. But the Orioles scored 2 more. And they will go to the 9th with Jim Johnson leading 5-1. equalizer. And we have gone to the bottom of the ninth here in Arlington. And the Texas Rangers down 5-1 and facing Jim Johnson, the Orioles closer who had 51 saves, the high in the major leagues this year. This is not a save situation, John, but it is a huge situation.
Yeah, and you're seeing those stats right. He does have less strikeouts than saves.
Beltre's fly ball to right, or to center, as Adam Jones was drifting back, one down. Stick around for Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan. Matt Weiner in the Atlanta studio, Dennis Eckersley and Boomer David Wells standing by to wrap up the day. What an afternoon it was in Atlanta between the Cardinals and the Braves, and they'll have a full recap of this game, the Orioles and the Rangers. Baltimore 2 outs away here in the ninth.
Normally you'd like to see a guy get himself wild, take some pitches, but this is not one of those guys. He's not going to walk, he's going to come after you. You got to pick out a pitch and try to elevate it, otherwise it's a ground ball.
Nelson Cruz with a 1-out single to left.
I used to always check with the manager when you leave the dugout in these situations. You want me to take a strike? Because I really don't want to give him a strike here. He's not going to walk me anyway. And many times that's a good way to handle it. But I think in this situation, you got to hope he gets a little wild. Yeah. I hope he overthrows a little bit. You need some base runners. And you almost have to take that first strike.
Well, he's been pretty good, whether it's a save situation or a non-save situation. Save situation 2.4, 2 ERA, non-save 2.70. So he's locked in every time he comes to the mound.
Upstairs to Michael Young, who's 2 out of 3.
Certainly Jim pitches to contact many times on the label for a right-handed hitter. He will mix in a breaking ball, and the first 2 hitters a good sinking fastball, hard fastball, 94, and then it's gone to the breaking ball.
Cruz on the run as the ball is grounded to second, and Dino throws him out. 2 down in the ninth. Well, the last hope is Mike Napoli. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Texas Rangers were out of first place for a couple of days in April and the last day of the regular season. It looked like they were cruising to the AL West.
Who would have thought we would see a scenario in the beginning of the year? It was definitely going to be a battle between LA Angels and the Texas Rangers. Not only was it not, well, it was at the end, but Oakland and Baltimore, 2 teams no one had on their radar, are in the playoff format as we speak. It really is unbelievable.
The 0-2 is just fouled back. Napoli's still alive.
Yeah, certainly the Orioles have been a surprise. No doubt about it. Nobody could have predicted that. But I think Oakland might be a little bit bigger surprise.
By far, in a division that really was much better, even with Seattle playing better. And to win that division after being 13 games back since July 1st, 57-26, Texas 43-40.
A ball and 2 strikes. Baltimore a strike away from moving on to take on the New York Yankees in a best-of-5 American League Division Series. Napoli waits on a 1-2 from Jim Johnson. Baltimore fighting the New York Yankees down the stretch. Day in and day out. No more than a game separating them in the AL East. New York eventually wins the division, and they may meet again. Misses with the 1-2. Count is even.
96. Sinking and moving like that at 96.
Just missed. Tried to paint the corner. Gotta have that, don't you, John?
Well, this really, it would be nice, but that's a good job by Gary Darling. Just calling it off the black.
Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th. And Johnson walks Napoli. They're at first and second. And here's Jurickson Profar. The pinch hit. They were in the 9th with 2 on. Exciting young player. He's only 19 years old. In his major league debut, he homered at Cleveland. And was the first Ranger to homer in his first career at bat. 6 feet 165 in a huge spot. Swinging at the first pitch, base hit to left. McLeod fields, and the bases are loaded with 2 out. How about the teenager coming through with the first pitch he sees?
Well, we talked earlier in the game, you always want to be that one swing away from tying up the game or getting back in it. They have worked their way here with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and still a glimmer of hope as they're down 4 and hoping for a miracle.
I haven't done it much, but I talked to a lot of pinch hitters, and they want to come out of off the bench swinging the bat. But I kept still thinking, he's going to take that pitch. He comes right out of his shoes and gets a base hit. Now you got the time run at the plate.
In the person of David Murphy, who's one of only 2 left-hand hitters to homer off of Johnson this season. Bases loaded, 2 out. Fly ball left field. Nate McLeod is there. And the magical season of the Baltimore Orioles continues. The first ever American League wild card game goes to Baltimore. 5-1 over the Rangers, whose hopes for a 3rd straight trip to the World Series have vanished. And look at the face of Buck Showalter.
Yeah, he said when he is getting older a little bit now, he likes to take it in. He likes to take in their expressions, their reactions. He's enjoying this thoroughly. Not necessarily just for him. He's enjoying it for those guys, those group of players out there. That's a great shot, seeing him just sitting back and watching.
And hoping nobody does anything crazy and gets hurt in these celebrations, which we've seen already from other teams. But what a great moment for Baltimore and the city now that awaits their team to come back and start at home with momentum and a desire of not only this game, but moving forward and winning the next series. You got to think Jim Thome, as we saw a shot there, has added not only experience but insight to a lot of young hitters, a lot of young players that have not been through this. And there's the star, I think, of the game, Joe Saunders. Don't pay attention to the numbers like our job is to pay attention to numbers. 0-6
in this ballpark, yeah. So the Orioles advance to take on the New York Yankees. It's a best of 5. The first 2 games will be in Baltimore, the next 3 in New York, if it does go the distance. But here tonight, Baltimore Orioles have left them stunned in Arlington. beating the Rangers 5-1. Texas losing 3 in a row in Oakland, losing 8 of their last 10 overall, including this game. And the celebration, well, it's time for the Baltimore Orioles to do that.
There's a lot of unselfish guys on that team to accept the roles that they have accepted, to do what they've done. Credit to them and their manager for putting it all together. It's not easy to get sent down to the minors after being in the rotation. It's not easy to go from the rotation to the bullpen. They've done it.
Here's a look at tonight's Chevy Player of the Game. And a lot of eyes were on him before this game started. Joe Saunders, 0-6 here at the ballpark in Arlington in his career. How do you describe what you saw from this pitcher tonight, Joe?
Well, he had nerves early. His defense bailed him out, and he made pitches all along the way.
5 2/3 innings of solid work. And he's the Chevrolet Player of the Game, and he is with Craig Sager.
Well, Joe, there are no scripts in the game of baseball. We talked about your 0-6 record here at Rangers Ballpark. What was working tonight, and why are you so confident?
Well, as a baseball player, as an athlete, you always want to prove people wrong, and we strive on that, and I strive on that too. So no one really gave me a chance, and I wanted to go out there and prove people wrong, and it just says a lot about this team, all the heart, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. And I want to give a shout out to my wife. I love you, baby. Matei and Ava, wish you were here. So it's a special experience.
Your manager, Buck Showalter, had faith in you. He said you're a professional pitcher and you know your limitations. What were the limitations, and what did you have to work against tonight?
Well, I mean, tonight it was a little dicey there in the first inning. Walking Kinsler to lead off, and then just got a big double play, and I just kept telling myself, hey, minimize damage, keep us in the game, and then got some big double plays, and against a really great team and a great lineup. So hats off to our defense, and we got some clutch hits.
Were you worried there in the first inning that they'd have a quick hook and perhaps people were warming up right away?
Well, I looked down there and I saw Steve-O warming up, and I was like, hey, there's no way this guy's coming in the game. I got to get my act together quick. So, just told myself, hey, just pound the strike zone, make quality pitches, and the Lord was with me tonight, and it was special.
You've been on playoff teams before, but you did not join this team until August. What is it about this team? And earlier we heard John Smoltz say it has it. What does that mean?
It's funny because you can't really explain it. We got a lot of confidence, and we believe we can play with anybody. So we're just going to go out there and keep proving people wrong, and that's what drives us.
You've been battling the Yankees the entire month of September and early October. What have you learned about this team that maybe says, hey, you can beat the Yanks?
Well, this team's had confidence all year. When I came over in late August, I kind of saw it. Just walking through the locker room, and I'm just thankful to be a part of this.
You said you wanted to prove people wrong. You certainly did tonight. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Craig, and congratulations to Joe Saunders and the entire Baltimore Oriole organization as they win the first AL wild card game, and they set up that meeting with the New York Yankees. You saw the graphic, split right down the middle, the season series 9-9, and the Orioles had success at Yankee Stadium, and they won the 3 series in the Bronx this year.
Well, they did, and their growing confidence is they just don't look rattled. It's impressive to watch. If you're not going to get rattled in this game, I don't think you're going to get rattled in the next series. But they do have some star power on the other side. From one Mr. Cano, they're going to have to cool off.
Yeah, I think Buck might sit in his office and start to think, okay, who do I don't want to beat me from the New York Yankees? Cano's 24 for his last 39 to end the season, 3 homers, 14 RBIs. He might be the one that they'd pick and say, let's not let him beat us. But it's interesting to look at that stat. I was thinking it was going to be a better pitched series between the Yankees and the Orioles because that's what they both do. But they're scoring a lot of runs. Their ERA's high. They're high-scoring games.
Our final score, the Baltimore Orioles 5, the Texas Rangers 1. Tune in tomorrow on TBS for the start of the division series. Coverage begins at 5:30 Eastern Time with MLB on deck. For John Smoltz and Cal Ripken and Craig Sager and the rest of the crew, this is Ernie Johnson bidding you a good night from Arlington, Texas. Following a quick break, stay tuned for Inside MLB presented by Captain Morgan. Remember to drink responsibly. TBS is your home for the Division Series and the exclusive home of the American League Championship Series. The Orioles move on.